How we doing, boys and girls? Good morning, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Matthew needs coffee bean spenders. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. It's it's true. I need to do some. We need a bit of an overhaul, I think, on the channel points, and I could do with some more emotes. And I'm very aware there's lots of stuff I need to do. How's everybody's weekend, though? I hope we're all good. There appears to be some news. There is definitely some news. I decided to, obviously, like I usually do, I take the weekend, and wow, it so turns out that, well, just about everything happened over the weekend. We've got patch notes, we've got developer updates, the whole bunch, whole 9 yards, so we're going to go through a little bit of that. I need to do some catch up, is the honesty of it. I need to catch up with all the news and all the information. As I hear, there is a PTR coming this week, so we need to look ahead for that as well. Glad to see you're feeling better. The neck's still a little bit stiff. The neck's not perfect yet, but yeah, it's all good. We have no need for any special guests today, let's put it that way. But yes, I need to catch up. Yeah, recycling Legos was one thing that I've seen. Now, to my understanding, we don't know too much about that yet, and it feels like me it will be recycling the end result Lego, not a way to recycle the base Legos. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm sure we'll get some information. I'm sure there's some stuff I can look through. You may have noticed I started the stream a little bit early this morning. We have an early start because, unfortunately, even though it's Monday, we have a slightly early finish. I need more Mr. Mingo in my life. Well, we'll see. He might turn up again at some point, depending on how my neck feels. The reason it's a slightly shorter stream today is I've got jab number 2 COVID vaccination later on today, shortly after I finish the stream. So I'm slightly restricted on time today. That also means that I've not planned anything, solid to do for the rest of the week, just in case there's any, if I catch a fever or something like that. I don't want to have made lots of plans and then, let everybody down. So the only thing that I'm going to do at some point this week is take a look on the PTR when it comes out. But apart from that, I've not planned anything. I've kept my diary open, so if COVID does its thing, then if I have to take a day or two off completely and just lie in bed, then it's fine. It's fine. It's all good. It's all gravy. Health before stream? Exactly. That's my plan. I was like, right, well, if I'm going to feel under the weather, then I will spend it in bed and not feel too bad about it. Cuddly pink bird for pick me up. Mr. Mingo to the rescue. Yes, absolutely. We'll see. But let's log in to one of our accounts real quick. Get a game up and running. Because nobody wants to look at my desktop background, even though I have the world's best desktop background, by the way. Let's load into the NA account real quick. Let's just check auctions and relist over there. That's not going to take too long. And then we can start looking at some of this news. You guys, I'm going to need you to help me out today. I'm going to need the assistance of you guys to help catch me up. I'm sure there's about 20 different Wowhead articles I should be looking at. On top of, obviously, the one we do every Monday, which is the economy report. So feel free to backseat me a little bit today because I'm trying to play catch up and I'm trying to do it relatively quickly. Hello there, boys and girls. I hope you don't have copyrights on that. No, of course not. But good to see you. Welcome in. Welcome, welcome. Hope everybody had a good weekend. I was actually away for the weekend, so short of very quickly reposting auctions yesterday, I've literally not touched the game since Friday. So, and comments. Well, we'll see. We'll see how the comments fare. I imagine on the news and updates, the comments on there are probably a little spicy, but we'll see. Oh, we've been selling a whole bunch of stuff. We sold an entire stack of Fell Iron ore over on NA. Some good numbers coming through. A stack of iron ore. I have a feeling I bought that to flip it, so that's probably a win. Few basic stuff. 69 copper bars. Giggity. You know, basic stuff here. Basic stuff here. Gold bars and gold ore. Obviously, somebody wanted something in bulk, but another 15k to go on the pile. We're gonna be multi-millionaires on the NA before we know. I wonder if we can actually get a token's worth of gold in our first month. We probably can. That's probably not too difficult. A token of gold before we ding 60. That'd be quite cool, wouldn't it? We're still only 44 though. I was expecting to have lots of stuff to repost, but apparently nothing's expired. So maybe we do a very quick cancel scan while we wake up a little bit this morning. The coffee is kicking in. Slow and steady. But how was the weekend for people? Have people still been keeping up with listing their auctions? Has the markets died? What's going on? Catch me up. Catch me up. It's now it's been a week or two since the Corthite crystal, shenanigans, the big drop in price. I would imagine that it's about now that, prices are just going to be at the bottom of the bottom. I picked up some Corthite crystals yesterday for 200 gold a piece. I was like, really? Is this where they're at now? They were 1,500 gold only a couple of weeks ago, but drunk too much alcohol, big F. Yeah, I drank a reasonable amount over the weekend. I didn't feel 100% yesterday, if I'm going to be honest, but we're all good today. Decrease in number of the players. The markets are seeming a little slow. Sad day for goblins. It's inevitable. But there are two sides to that story, right? In terms of the fact that there's lots of gold to be made at the beginning of patches, and obviously expansion launches. But then when there's less gold to be made, feel free to, take a step back, step out of the auction house. Either go do other things in the game that you enjoy doing, or even, the way that many people have done, is go play different games. And then come back to it when the opportunities to make gold is really good. I'm very good at filling my time and filling the downtime between patches with stuff to do. Like leveling alts and, getting menial things like the mission tables set up, and I'm sure we'll talk about mission tables a little bit later today as well. Even rolling on new realms, just, getting that up, and that initial process that takes a lot of time to sort of get going. That's the kind of stuff that can be done between these big spikes of gold making opportunity, which is quite cool. Gold's been decent though, made 3 mil on Friday, 1.5 mil on Saturday, and a mil on Sunday, even though I wasn't there for most of the evenings or Sunday. Oh, see, that's not too bad, you see. It still shows that, you put a bit of time in, the gold will flow. This is good to hear. Definitely good to hear. Leveled dual crafting Legos, already made most of my gold back. Still waiting for the price on Lacerite or Lithium to be able to buy it in bulk. Thanks to your advice. Thank you so very much. And on Tauren Mill. Yeah, Tauren Mill's really good for dual crafting. Shadowgaster rings, they literally sell as fast as you can craft them. And the profit in them's not bad at all. If there was one legendary profession that I had to choose one, not all four of them, at the moment it would be dual crafting, because not only is there a natural barrier to entry because of people's lack of understanding of prospecting, but the two main things that you're crafting are also still in very high demand. So it's, yeah, dual crafting definitely wins out at the moment. And you'll have had a couple of days at least with this goblin not cancel scanning and not doing PvP, so plenty more opportunities to sell stuff. Right, let's get all of this listed back up again. We're up to over 50k on this realm from a brand new account, level 44. Not a single 60, not a single mount, not a single achievement, no heirlooms, no nothing. Up to over 50k, which is pretty good. That seems to indicate to me that some of our flips might have paid off. Let's take a little look. Oh, this is a nice, chunky upwards direction on the graph. We like this. That's our biggest mailbox, I think, that we've had then on this realm, which is kind of cool. It means these flips are doing their job. Check the ledger, check the revenue, check the resale. Bought Shadowy Shanks, sold Shadowy Shanks. That was a vendor flip. That doesn't really count. Iron ore, look, here we go. We bought iron ore for an average price of 5 gold a piece. Sold it all out for nearly 12 gold a piece. So more than doubled our money on the iron ore, which was kind of cool. Looks like we've done something similar with copper bars. Bought a bunch of them as they were going cheap. Bought 70 of them, sold in total now 88 of them. The problem the ledger has though is it doesn't take into consideration if you've crafted some and also sold those, it doesn't know how to differentiate between exactly what you bought and exactly what you sold. But it's a good indication nonetheless. All these buying one pieces of gear, these were all just vendor shuffles. Every time I log on to the auction house, do a vendor scan. If it pops up anything, we pick it up and then we just take it straight to the vendor. But these low-level materials are some of the stuff we've been flipping. So, comfortably buying silver ore for 23 gold a piece. Selling it back out again for 32 gold a piece. Like, ridiculous profit on those. Let's do a quick shopping scan while we're here then. I don't feel the need to spend all of the gold, but if we've got some of it, we can. Let's check out the ores, because they're always... there's potential in those, for sure. How are we doing, Woo? Good morning. Welcome in. Hope you had a good weekend. And Stro, good to see you both. Oh, some blue numbers. I like blue numbers. Blue numbers means there's a opportunity. Elementium ore, 7 gold a piece. That still sounds expensive to me. Is somebody manipulating the market price on this? Regional market average value of 25 gold a piece. Why is that a thing? Market value of 17 gold. Yeah, the market value seems unnecessarily high for Elementium ore. For an ore that's not all that used, 7 gold still feels relatively on the expensive side. Oh! What's going on here? It's all clustered at this price. See, if I was to do anything with this, I'd have to buy out a lot of it. So, unfortunately, that's probably outside of our realm of opportunity with such little gold at the moment. I can't think of many reasons why Elementium ore sells. People buy it to turn it into bars and then do more stuff with it. If I remember right, actually, Elementium ore tends to get bought in bulk when people are trying to buy old patterns from the vendor. I think there's some turn-in or something. Hardened element, yeah, 4 hardened Elementium bars or something. I believe is used for buying a whole bunch of patterns. It's used for the Vial of the Sands. Is it Elementium? Isn't it Pyrium bars that are used in the Vial of the Sands, if I remember right? I don't know, maybe. You're probably right. I just never remember this being super, super useful. It was almost more of a byproduct of people farming Pyrium. Pyrite? It was Pyrite ore and then Pyrium bars, isn't it? I always bought a stock of yeah, I can't remember exactly. This is the kind of stuff I should probably keep an eye on. But either way, I mean, to buy out all of that, it's just too much. I mean, that's literally half our gold on that one opportunity, which is, if it was like 3 gold, I might think about it, but it's still a little bit too expensive. Even though it's cheap compared to the market value, the regional sale average is actually still less than that. So fortunately, we're going to have to pass on that one. This corium ore, though, corium ore, that's 700 gold a piece. Once again, not a bad price, but I feel it would take too much of our capital to be able to do much with this. In fact, it would basically take out all of our, so we're going to have to pass on that one as well. Adamantite ore at 14 gold a piece. Now we're getting into the ranges of stuff where it's not really super cheap. Looked it up, it uses true gold, which requires pyrium bars. No elementium needed. You can take 8, it's alchemists, isn't it? It's the transmute. So you take, I want to say 8 elementium bars, and you can you can transmute that into pyrium bars or something like that. I remember there's a conversion. But it's usually the fact that you need considerably more pyrite ore to turn into pyrium bars than you do elementium. So elementium usually gets, you know, overly supplied by people farming. It's a byproduct, is the way I like to describe it. Transmutes on a daily cooldown. Doesn't matter if you've got 20 alchemists. But yes, true. Okay, that's cool. It's good to know. Good to remember. Very curious about the Covenant campaign skip. If you get renowned followers, if so, never going to have to go through the Night Fae campaign again. I've briefly heard of such a thing. I've not looked into it yet. We're gonna do a whole news segment today. We're gonna spend a lot of time on Wowhead. Just heads up. Because there's a lot of stuff to catch up on, I think. I take 2 days off for the weekend and literally the world opens up. So, yay, comments. We'll see. We'll see if I go too deep into the comments. They tend to trigger me, but we'll see. Do I do a search for herbs? Now, the problem is with buying and selling herbs, for me at least, is I rarely know which herb is it. See, look how many blue numbers there are here. But it's often way less of an investment to buy and sell some of these herbs, like Swift Thistle, for example. Like, I could buy up a stack of them. I mean, it's almost stupid not to. It's just silly little things, but we can, you know, take an entire stack at 1 gold a piece. Sell them back out again at a sizable number. It's kind of hard to not. You almost can't lose on something like that. Dead nettle at 5 gold a piece. It's cheap, but it's not actually worth this much. So that's kind of a scam. Life root, on the other hand, no idea why these super cheap ones are there. Let's just buy them out, get rid of them. Mountain silver sage, couple of stacks at 4 gold a piece. We have some experience selling it for 5 gold, 45 a piece. There's a gold or two to be made there, but I'd have to buy almost 2 stacks of it, so probably not. Fellweed, on the other hand. Cheap fellweed we might be able to do something with. We haven't really got room to buy all of it, though, but we can, you know, stock up although we've never sold any of this. What does it mill into? Ebon pigment and nether pigment. I need to, I really need to look at inscription in a bit more detail. Trentnell spoke about something very curious. If you go through Torghast with different Covenant members and rescue a follower, you're also getting credit and will get this follower if you swap Covenants. For example, if you are Night Fae and your friend is Necro, then you swap to Necro, you already have the follower you rescued with him. Huh. Interesting. Sort your groups to only consider items with a sale rate over X. It's probably not the worst decision. Probably not the worst decision at all, actually. But even these low-level herbs, they still tend to maintain somewhat of a sensible sale rate. Just purely because people do buy them up for the purpose of milling them. There's almost nothing that's like stupidly terrible. Do we pick up a bit of easy fellweed? There's a big wall of it here, which makes this cheap stuff, means we probably won't sell it very quickly. Yeah, claims to only sell 14 a day, so maybe we won't worry too much as we've already got a bunch of fellweed. We don't want to overstock on it. Whiskers, what are whiskers saying? If there's a couple of cheap ones, I might think about it, but they're too expensive for now. Although we don't have any. I want to just cherry pick the cheap stuff. Gold clover. No, even the ones that we've got, even got, this is still always too cheap. Too much of it. Dream foil. We've sold a bunch of dream foil for 16 gold a piece, meaning it does sell. Let's just hoover up a bunch of this then. Let's take a risk on dream foil. Considering we have sold some, hoover up this cheap stuff. We've experienced in selling it very recently for 16 gold a piece, so maybe if we take that out as good old TSM is having a problem. Sure. Oh, that's a lot more than I want to buy. Whatever. Sure. Frost Lotus. Why is Frost Lotus selling so cheap? Alright. Purple Lotus is also relatively cheap. $682 we can sell Mage Royal for when the price is right. Buy this stuff out. This is nice and cheap. Buy that lot out. Another opportunity here for a cheeky little rotation on the price of these. We can buy Briarthorn. We can sell it. We've sold it for 5 gold a piece before. Buy the cheap stuff. Purple Lotus. There's a sizable supply of them. I think these are really cheap. Regional market average value 55. Regional sale value 25. Can we just reset the market completely on Purple Lotus? Take all of those. 7 gold a piece average. We can sell it for more than that, I reckon. Yoink. I think that's about where we'll go with old herbs, because I don't really know what I'm doing with herbs, if I'm honest. Maybe let's do a search for these elementals, because we know there's a conversion that can be had with these. Primal Shadow. Primal Shadow for 200 gold a piece. The only ones listed are at 200 gold a piece, and then they step all the way up to 1,000 gold a piece. Regional market average is only, yeah, okay, they're still expensive. That's a bait. Market value is high on these because of somebody's probably bought a load of them and is trying to reset them. Not getting suckered today. Eliath, how we doing? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Just doing a very quick little bit of NA maintenance just before we get into the news. Yes, there's a lot of it. A lot of these Eternals are selling relatively cheap though, you know. Considering you can buy Eternals. You can straight up buy them from a vendor for 60 gold a piece. Oh! That's really loud. That's really loud. Nice little raid there by Hickons. Thank you, my man. Appreciate it. Welcome all. How we doing? We're just doing a very quick scout on the NA for some cheap materials to do a little bit of basic entry-level flipping. We only recently started on this NA server, and it's the very first character on this account. So we have nothing. We have no alts, no nothing. So we're just playing around with some old materials. Luckily, though, being on a mega realm, stuff usually sells quite quickly when it's priced right. So, but welcome in, everybody. How was your stream today, Hickon? Did you have a good one? I'm sure you were. Are you a billionaire yet? Can't be far off, right? Only the fire and the frost are generally expensive. Eternal fire, smack bang on 60 gold a piece. Crystallized fire, 7 gold a piece. So the fire is priced at 70 gold. The eternal fire itself, yeah, see there's one lowballer, which is not really worth it because you can go buy them from a vendor for the same price. Did a WoW stream earlier, grilled some steaks and vegetables, then did a Hearthstone stream. Only 600 mil. Alright, sure. Only 600 mil. Is Primal Water meant to be a good one? That seems relatively cheap. It's Primal Fire that's annoying to farm though, right? 85 Primal Water, 250 gold a piece. That seems like a good potential. Where's the Primal Fire? Oh, Primal Fire's all the way down here. There we go. Nothing particularly cheap that I want to risk at the moment. We'll leave that as it is. Cloth is almost pointless looking at because, you know, cloth is just silly prices. Hey look, more spider silk. Didn't we sell a spider silk the other day? We sold a spider silk for 2,600 gold. I have no idea how we managed to do that. Yo, I'll tell you what though, Spellcloth. Isn't Spellcloth on a daily cooldown? Is this stuff still on a daily cooldown? I don't particularly want to buy 44 of them. But I mean, it's not on a daily cooldown? Okay, fair enough. 0.07 and a 0.01 regional sale rate. I mean, that's an absolute bait, isn't it? Too many there. If there was only like 5 or 6 of them, I might buy them out. But even though they are ludicrously cheap compared to the regional market average and even the market average sell rate, I don't think I'll sell those anytime. I need stuff that, you know, will turn around my sales quickly. They still require primal mana and fire though. Oh, the fact that they require primal fire. Oh, how much is it to buy all of those? Oh, it's 10k. See, on any other realm, I would just oh, fuck it, whatever. Oh god, oh god. We've gone deep. We've gone deep on Spellcloth. We went deeper than we should have gone, but it's all fine. Alright, this is why I don't check cloth. Spider silk. 6 of them for 900 gold a piece. We sold one the other day for 2,500 gold. How many spiders silk do people need in any one time? That's always a question. Do people ever need 6 in a go? What's it called? Spider's silk. It's really weird trying to like learn all of this stuff again. Because I used to know all of this off the top of my head, just without even thinking about it. So, spider silk, reagent 4. Okay, so you never need... there is a pattern in the game that requires 6 of them. But you very rarely need any more than a single 1, maybe 2 at a time. For arguably random stuff as well. So buying 6 is not the worst situation because you might actually sell them all back out in one go. Do we want to spend 6k on spider's silk though? If we could double our money on it though. Yeah, why not? Sure. Netherweave cloth. I don't think we really want to touch netherweave cloth unless we can turn it around for something ridiculous. No, 51,000. See you later. Tide spray linen. Cheap tide spray linen. 88,000 cheap tide spray linen for 85 silver a piece. I'm sure there are people with tens of millions of this still in their bags though. Shadowweave mask for the hidden mount. Doesn't require spider silk. Apparently not. Apparently not. This is everything that requires spider silk. Some cheap fell cloth. We'd have to buy a whole bunch of that to get much of a flip on it. Ember silk cloth. See, this low level cloth stuff, I have no idea why people would buy this anymore. Bolts, bags maybe? Ember silk bags still a thing? I don't know. Most cloth is just dead. Yeah, not too bothered about that. Alright, cool. There's that'll do us for now. We've spent way more than we should have done on arguably what feels like nothing, but we'll see. Let's get that relisted. I mean, for the most part, this whole most of these materials are only ever going to be used by people leveling the old professions, but if you can find something that's, you know, attached to a really cool piece of transmog or is attached to the creation of a mount or something like that, then maybe there's opportunities there. But most of those materials are going to get held at a pretty high price anyway. Like if we search for, what was it, like Cinderbloom. Cinderbloom, for example, you can see this goes into, this is used to make flasks that make some in File of the Sands. Whiptail. Once again, wow, that's crazy expensive. To the point where we should probably go and farm it, it's that expensive. Damn, there's an opportunity there. We can get Whiptail super fast if we want to. What other things would there be? We didn't even look at Pyrium, did we? Is it Pyrium ore, or is it... oh, it's Pyrium bar, but Pyrite ore. Pyrite ore. Actually, looking at it, this Pyrite ore is not that expensive, to be honest. We might have a go here, you know. We buy the stuff 30 gold a piece. I can guarantee we can sell that for more than 30 gold a piece. We can bang that out for... There's a 10 gold or 25% return on investment on those ones. On a realm this big, I almost want to buy these as well to get it to 50. We could go the whole hog, you know. If we're doing it, let's do it properly. Oh, Woo's talking strings now. I need to read this. Hang on. Please hold. To help trim down the number of items that pop up in those searches, create a string with if greater than the DB region sale rate and if greater than DB market, so that you only end up looking at stuff with reasonable sale rates and market values. Sensible. I like that. I like that a lot. Oh, turns out this isn't in a group, apparently. Groups, or just ore in general. Oh, there's loads of ungrouped stuff in that. Oh, okay, sure. Pyrite ore, platinum ore. In you get. Akunda's Bite and Anchorweed, they're both herbs. Stringy Loins is meat. And base item. Why is this in our bags? Do I actually want to try? Wow, that's okay. That's weirdly. No, I'm just going to vendor it. That kind of stuff is just vendor bait. Just makes the flipping process a lot more efficient. Yeah. Without then requesting you do all of the work for me, what would you suggest based on your experience for past expansion materials should we be looking at for a sale rate? Because I'm a little bit out of practice with this sort of stuff. Because if we look at like just ore generally, let's try and get a bit of an idea of what the sell rate is on some of these stuff. On stuff that we actually know might sell. So like monolite ore, for example. Hang on, let me let it load. So monolite ore is 0.16, storm silver 0.12, mithril 0.27, titanium 0.22, saronite 0.33. 0.33 sale rate on saronite ore. Is that real? You're telling me 1 out of every 3 pieces of saronite ore that gets listed ends up selling? Sure, okay. Titan steel 0.05. So maybe that 0.05 then may be where we want to call it a cutoff. Because it's something like Titan steel we would want to flip when the opportunity is there. Ores tend to be fairly high, just some herbs and stuff are then really low. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. 0.19, 0.10 on copper stuff. Saronite bar 0.9. Weirdly, there's not much then. If we had like a 0.06, there's not much that would actually get excluded. Even coarse stone is 0.09. Bronze bars wouldn't appear. There's not much that wouldn't appear. 0.08 on corium ore. As you get richer, you're also less bothered about flipping stuff worth less than 5 gold to sell. That's also very true. So let's do a. That's something we could probably put together in a custom price source. So if we call it, let's call it old mats, and we can say if greater than DB region sale rate of 0.06, we'll use that for default. We then want to look and see if, okay, now what are we doing if it is greater than a 0.06? So that's the first thing. That's going to filter out everything that's less than a 0.06 sell rate. Well, not necessarily filter out, but we can define what we do with it. So anything above a 0.06 sell rate, what we then want to do is if greater than DB market and have it as higher than, I'd say, we don't want to be pissing around with like tiddly stuff. The DB market price has got to be at least 10 gold, I would say. So firstly, if it has a sell rate higher than 0.06 and it also has a DB market of higher than 10 gold, we want to do the shopping scan. I use something along these lines. 0.06 DB regions. Oh, you also do sold per day. Okay. Also, you triple combo it up. I see. Do we want to go that? Do we want to go further than that as well? DB region sold per day. That's an interesting one to throw in there. So it's got to sell reasonably well. There's got to be a minimum of 10 sold a day, and it's also got to have a market price above 5 gold. And then we want to filter out everything that's 50% DB market. I kind of like that. So there's only 2 filters on this one. Might end up cutting off some high value stuff like Titan steel bars. Yeah. Yeah, the sold per day, because it might be, you know, worth 1,500 gold, 2,000 gold, but if you only sell 1 or 2 a day, it's going to exclude it. That's something I would probably add in when I'm a bit richer. Like right now, I'm not rich at all, so I'm still somewhat interested in lower value things and stuff that sells at a slower quantity. Just adjust it as you climb the ladder, yeah. So there we go. We can have a custom price source called old mats. Then we can just make a simple shopping operation. Past expansion, and then the maximum price we just put old mats. Now, arguably, I don't really need to make it a custom price source first, but there may be other times where I want to reference this, the value, so we'll see. Price multiplied by the sold per day is your turnover, which seems more important than the 5 gold. Do you care if it's 2 gold if you sell 1,000 per day? Yeah. Yeah. At the moment, I'm literally looking for anything that's cheap. If I can make a 1 gold profit, cool. Is kind of the situation I'm in at the moment. Show auctions above the max price. We'll say no. We will not put anything here, just because we don't really need to for now. But let's apply that group then, or that little shopping operation to some of our groups. Let's go ores. We can have it there. Override the default. Put it as past expansion materials. Herbs as well. And I guess elemental. We'll take a look at elementals separately. So let's now see if we do, with that in place, what does it return? We do a shopping scan on ore. So the only thing it then returns based on our criteria is elementium ore. So this is going to firstly need to have a sale rate above 0.06 and also have a market value of over 10 gold, and then have it listed at less than 50% of that. Maybe that's a little strict. That's a little strict maybe for where we are right now. Not that that probably isn't true. You've got to be careful that not getting any results isn't a bad thing, because it just means that there's not anything that you should be buying. But in hindsight, I think that I think that's a little strict. I think we need to loosen that up just a touch. So we probably want to change it from... I think the sale rate is fine. I think the DB market's too high. I think we could have, especially considering we're dealing with materials, the DB market could be as low as probably 2 or 3 gold maybe. Do we want to go that low? Let's just go 3 gold. Because then that's going to pick up anything that's still cheap. Because they're materials, right? If we're selling them if we're dealing with selling on quantity, we could probably do a separate one for like a rare material where we drop the sale rate down but put the market price up to focus specifically on the rares. Things like Titan steel bars. That seems a little... Maybe that will work a bit better. You watch, it still won't show anything else, but we have just gone through this and checked for stuff that we might want to be buying anyway. Okay, it doesn't return a huge amount now, but greater than or equal to? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because that will exclude anything that's 0.06. You're right. Yeah, that's a small change that could actually have quite an effect when we're dealing with small sale rates. Greater than or equal to 0.06. And I guess, I mean, DB market, it doesn't matter quite as much here, but we'll add it in anyway, in case something just happens to have a DB market price of exactly 3 gold, but it never will. This second one's less important, but no, I agree. Having it at the beginning is cool. Thank you for that one. That should help tighten up our searching a bit. We put it on herbs as well. Let's see what happens when we run it against herbs. Set the fallback price to 10% DB market to still see the other items that are just straight up amazing deals. That's true. Yeah, ignore everything if it's just stupid cheap. Kind of acting almost like a sniper scan then, yeah. So for herbs, fellweed, we looked at fellweed earlier actually. Khadgar's whiskers, golden clover and bruiseweed. These are all ones we actually took a look at. Bruiseweed, there's... now I've got a slight problem. It's now only showing the stuff that's cheaper. I need to fix that because that's not a true indication of exactly how many bruiseweed is on the auction house. If I search for bruiseweed by itself, you can see there's actually a lot more. That's where we need to change it in the shopping operation actually. We need to change this to actually, yes, show stuff above max price, because that will give you an indication to how many is actually available on the auction house. So let's also add that little fallback option. So go back to our custom price sources, adjust our old map custom price source, and at the very end here, so if it passes this, if it is greater than, if the DB region sale rate is greater than or equal to 0.06, it passes and it goes on to this one. Then if it's not, then if it's less than 50% DB market price, it will show something, or alternatively, it will still need a reasonable sale rate, but it will then need to also, if it doesn't have that super cheap, hang on, we want the fallback at the beginning, so we do want to close that out. Let me get this right, because this is where having the bracket at the right place or the wrong place makes a huge difference. Hang on, no, I've guffed something up here. That's where it is. Then we get rid of one of those. That's the one. So this now, regardless of sale rate, regardless of what the market price is, if something is less than 10% of the DB market price, it will show it. I think. You can actually, what I tend to do with these is split them up a little bit more to make it easier to see. No, that looks right. That looks right. So now anything that's just stupid cheap, regardless of all of this business at the beginning, if it just happens, if it doesn't fit these criteria, but it's just, you know, stupid cheap, it will still show stupid cheap stuff. Which is kind of the point of a shopping scan, right? Let's see if we can find an example of that. No, hang on. Now we have a problem. We don't necessarily... because our shopping scan is set to show stuff above maximum price, we can't... how do we fix this then? See, this is why I rarely use TSM for shopping scans. Because it's actually more complicated than it should be. The entire point... Or I suppose maybe it can just search for everything. But it's this percentage at the end that's the important one, right? Now that it's showing everything above the price as well, it's also showing stuff that don't actually count. Which is counteractive to what we were trying to do in the first place. We were trying to limit the amount of things that turn up. But if now it basically means these are actually the only 3 we should be looking at. And more importantly, it also does the... I suppose I can live with this. That's it. Just ignoring anything that's red now is the simple thing. It's basically saying that if it's green, or for sure if it's blue, it's almost buy it without even thinking about it kind of thing. That's kind of the point of this. Because golden clover, for example, whilst it has a 0. So this qualifies, right? Because it's got a 0.07 sale rate. Not only has it got a reasonable sale rate, a sale rate above 0.06, which was the first criteria we set. Secondly, its market value is above 3 gold, which it is. And then on top of that, its actual min buyout right now is less than that 3 gold. So that ticks all of the boxes. That should be something that we don't even really think about too much. We just buy because there's no reason not to. And we can buy anything that's stupid cheap. We could even technically buy these yellow ones. So we could go and we could hoover up that lot there. It's 641 gold clover. We probably don't need anywhere near that much. The problem we're going to have is like actually selling this back out before more turns up. This is where the sale rate becomes quite important. Because we're going to end up buying way more than what we feasibly need to. So what's probably sensible is only to buy the super cheap stuff. Or maybe just buy a small amount of the cheap stuff. How long does your account sync normally take? Mine's taking upwards of 20 minutes. My account sync never takes any more than about a minute. If it's taking more than a minute, it's probably crashed and you probably want to do a /reload. Isn't it now like a default search? Well, when you do a default search, it's basically telling you what the percentage here, it's indicating is the market price. But just because the market price on something is cheap doesn't necessarily mean it's a good deal. What we've done is we've built in additional checks and additional factors into that item. So it's got to firstly have a reasonable sell rate. It can't be a terrible, terrible sell rate. So for example, it wouldn't show you, like a transmog herb. It wouldn't show you something that's got a terrible sell rate. It's got to sell reasonably well before we're interested in it. Secondly, if it does sell reasonably quickly, we also want to make sure that it is actually just cheap. Now, the way we categorize cheap is by the DB market price. So it's got to be less than 50% of the DB market price, and it's got to sell reasonably well before it returns it as something that, you know, you probably should be looking at. And it filters out all of the trash. That's kind of the point of it. If it's got a red number here now, we just ignore it. We don't need to do anything with it. It's all about sort of optimizing the search results. Because if you just do it by default, you're only going by one bit of information, and then you have to go through every one. Like I did at the beginning of the stream, you go through every one and you go, all right, this has got a cheap market price, cool. Oh, but it doesn't sell very well. Oh, or it's, you know, it's worth 1 gold a piece at best anyway, or, you know, it just filters out the trash. Do rank 4s sell less now that rank 6s are less expensive? I've not seen any direct correlation there, but I mean, they're almost 2 different markets, rank 4s and rank 6s, because a lot of people will buy a rank 4 any day of the week because it's the quickest and easiest way for them to get that power, that legendary power. It's going to take some time investment for a player to upgrade to rank 5 or rank 6. So, whilst they are still technically 2 base items, because one uses Soul Ash and one uses Soul Cinders, there's probably not much of a link between them like that. So, is sale rate more important than sales per day? Sale rate is affected by how much is put up there. Sales per day would limit you to only buying, say, up to 6 days worth of inventory. Yeah, that's a very good point. We could do a combo of them both. I'm just cautious of just how complicated the custom price source ends up being. Because sometimes you can overcomplicate things so much that, you know, they counteract the use. But you could see, yeah, it's different, right? Because for me, when it comes to flipping, usually when you're flipping items, I don't worry too much about how many the point is if you see something that's cheap, you need to buy everything that's cheap. And if it means that I have to buy an entire month's worth of inventory, then I buy a month's worth of inventory. But the point is I still got it cheap. Cheap is always cheap. Because if there was a month's worth of inventory being listed for cheap, yeah, I only bought like 5 or 6 days worth, then the problem is then somebody else has got to buy all of that other cheap stuff, and they are in the same position. It's probably not as much of a thing with low-level materials, because I'm more used to dealing with high-level materials or current content materials. But I kind of live by the rule that if you see something cheap, you should buy all of it, because otherwise it means somebody else is buying it, and potentially, you know, you're giving your competition opportunities there. But I do see what you mean. Limiting how much you buy is definitely smart. Anyway, we went really far, really far off the deep end with this. There's a couple of people in chat that are very helpful, so I'm happy to do it. The other final element I added personally is if less than number inventory of 5 times the regional sold per day. Oh, so that you don't overstock, yeah. Yeah, true. You could add another that, well, if I'm already stocked on this, then I don't care. Yeah, that's probably. I would rather not have more than a single stack of any material, given the opportunity, just from an inventory point of view. I don't particularly want to have 10 stacks of something that's low and just kicking about, taking up space. Goldthorn has a 3.1 soul per day. Would you want to buy 400, 1,000 or 2,000? Well, if there was that much gold, if there was 2,000 Goldthorn listed, the likelihood is I wouldn't buy it because there's just too much of it. This is why I don't like to always build everything into a TSM operation, because sometimes I like to, you know, think about it manually for a second. In that scenario, I probably just wouldn't buy any of them because the market's already flooded. But it's true to say that maybe buying up a stack of it just so that you have some at cheap, and then if you sell it back out in a month, it's all good. But yeah, I don't know exactly where my line is between, you know, turnover and sale rate. I'm not sure, but make mine stringent so they're safe to use on multiple realms. If you're focused on a couple, it's much less important. That's true. That's true. By the time you start doing this on 5 or 6 different realms, 10 different realms, 20 different realms, you want to just log on, press search, anything that it results. You know it's safe, and then you just buy up the safe stuff and then move on to the next realm. It's all about efficiency at that point, sure. At this point, it's all about just some somewhat guaranteed simple flips for me at the moment. Because I'm just trying to build liquid. That's all I'm trying to do right now. Build enough liquid so that if we can spend 10 minutes doing, you know, some flipping on the auction house and open up 20, 30,000 gold worth of sales every day, that means that 10 minutes of doing a little bit of flipping is 1 hour of farming I don't have to do, which is kind of the way that I look at it. That hour that I would have spent farming, which is absolutely guaranteed increase in inventory, if I can do that whole hour's worth of work in 10 minutes with a couple of fancy shopping scans, I can spend the other 50 minutes of that hour doing something else, leveling the character, setting up an ult, doing whatever. Cool. I'm happy with that for now. We've spent way more gold than what we should have, but hopefully we'll get a return on some of those flips somewhat quickly. Technically, not that I believe this to be an accurate number, we have nearly 300,000 gold worth of items listed now. That is for sure being propped up by a couple of big transmog items, but you can't make these disappear, unfortunately. So, but that should do for a little bit of NA flipping for today. Why have I got something in the mailbox? Have I just bought something? Oh, I did. I bought that gold clover. Alright, well, let's get that back up listed real quick. So, it's time for me to do some catch-up on the news. What we might do to start with is do the Wowhead Weekly Economy. Because that's a staple of the channel. It's something we do every Monday. I would like to get that one done. Then we'll catch up on all of the weekend's news and activities. Let's grab... Wowhead then real quick. Let's put this so you guys can see it. What I might do before I start this actually is go grab a drink. My coffee's out, and if I'm going to be... Whoa! Holy smoke! I've just seen the token price. We're going to hit 300k for the token in the EU, like real quick. It's at the highest point it's been nearly forever. 286,000 gold. Holy smoke. Alright, sure. Right, where's this? Here we go. Here we go. Is it episode 192? Did I miss a week? I thought last week was 100. I don't know. Whatever. Right, I'm going to go grab a drink real quickly. Entertain yourselves for a minute. Maybe hit that sub button. Let's avoid those ads. And I'll be back in 2 minutes and we'll run through this as we do each week. Okie dokie. I've just realised if I wear a black t-shirt, I just look like a floating head. Okay, let's get that out of the way. So, the Wowhead Weekly Wrap-Up, number 192. For those of you watching live currently, I'll give you the heads up that we go through this every Monday. Often I go through it with the intent of taking this section of the stream for today's YouTube video. People tend to be quite interested in keeping up with what's going on. And like I said, I like to put my twist on it where possible, talk about a few of the discussion points. I've had a little flick through this already, so I kind of know what's in it. What I do need to do is make this... There we go. We don't want 8 FPS in the background. We probably want sound effects off as well. There we go. There we go. So yeah, YouTube voice activated. For those of you that claim I have a YouTube voice, I think it's fake news, but sure. I'll go through this as I do usually. Feel free to drop comments in the chat as we go through this. I will jump back to questions, either if I spot one that's super relevant to exactly what we're going through at the time, or we'll cover all the comments and do a bit of a Q&A, and maybe even check the comments once we get to the end of it. But yes, feel free to drop your comments in chat. So, right then, boys and girls, Wowhead Economy Weekly Wrap-Up, number 192. Getting very, very close to that 200 mark now. Ways alts can help with gold making. I think this is going to be a good one, as people tend to have a reasonable amount of alts nowadays. Rarely do I talk to somebody and they've only got like one or two alts, sorry. Most people end up with like 3, 4, 5 alts already. Shadowlands is proving to be relatively quick and easy to level up in, but it's obviously not super... I wouldn't say it's super alt friendly yet, although there are obviously some changes coming in patch 9.1.5 regarding alts, making it easier to manage them, easier to deal with them. But let's see what we've got for this one. Firstly, we got to give a shout out, of course, to our good friend Samadan. He puts this little article together for us every week. It gets posted up on the Wowhead blog. The link to the blog, if you want to read through it with your own eyes in your own time, I'll leave in the description down below. Table of contents for this week. The time for alts is nigh. Some alternative legendary leveling, and then cracking the code of node spawns, and then some further reading for those that want to dive a bit deeper. So the time for alts is nigh. Exciting times lie ahead with the announcement of patch 9.1.5 and the PTR being updated very soon. This week, in fact, I believe. We should have 9.1.5 on the PTR to play around with very, very soon. Plethora of change. I love that word, plethora. The plethora of changes means we'll be in the age of the alt. There are many things that you can do with an alt army for the purpose of goal making, so here's a few suggestions. Mission tables. This has been a bit of a favourite of the channel. Ever since I put a video out highlighting one of my regular viewers, they tracked a bunch of data of their mission table. They'd put a lot of time and effort into leveling up their mission table, and then they were tracking just what the rewards were from that mission table. I think, if I remember right, they tracked it over the period of about a week and resulted in best part of 100,000 gold worth of stuff. Now, not all of that stuff was straight up raw gold, but a lot of that stuff was materials, augment runes, pet charms, reputation tokens, which by the time you amass 10,000 rep, you get the Paragon box. Paragon boxes, of course, usually contain sort of 3,000 to 4,000 gold in them, just raw gold, so they've got to be considered valuable. And of course, now people are getting into leveling up all their alts and getting the mission tables on all of their alts. And some people are taking it to extreme levels, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So these have the potential to be incredibly lucrative, especially if you put the time into setting them up. Almost as good as Garrisons back in the day. Any of you that played in Warlords of Draenor will remember that the Garrison back then was just a bit of a money printing machine, especially if you're doing it on multiple characters. They take a fair amount of preparation, getting to 60 first, unlocking the extra companions through the campaign and Torghast, and additionally upgrading the Sanctum and spending time leveling all of the companions and unlocking even the mission table campaign quests themselves. However, though, once done, the rewards are many and varied, from just raw gold, like we talked about earlier, to materials, items to disenchant, or even pet charms to collect, to buy and sell those pets. There are a couple of add-ons. There's a favourite one of everybody's called Venture Plan, which unfortunately is still the main creator of the Venture Plan add-on is still taking a break and is not directly updating their version of the add-on themselves. We'll talk about that in a minute. There is also one called Covenant Mission Helper, which was definitely not as... let's put it this way, it wasn't as good as Venture Plan, but it still works. So based on that, it's a good go-to add-on to use as well. They can be used at the same time. They're both designed to help with arranging the troops that you use to give you the best success chance on the missions. Venture Plan, you can add the followers you want, and then the add-on will add the troops as needed and position them all to give the best success rate. There's a second, even with the second add-on for 9.1 missions, which was also mentioned by other commenters, I found that Venture Plan results can be unreliable sometimes with them. So Covenant Mission Table shows the results and its predictions are pretty good. Covenant Mission Table can also change the position of the followers, but it doesn't add troops. So as you can see, there's some limitations on both of them, right? If you just download the default Venture Plan, unfortunately, by default at least, it doesn't work fantastically well for patch 9.1 missions, but it's going to work perfectly fine for everything prior to that. Arguably, when you're leveling up your followers, you just want to be churning through the big experience, the bonus XP ones. This is where Venture Plan is still perfectly good at that. It has a 99% success rate. When it says it's going to win, you should win. It's only on the new missions that have been added in patch 9.1 where it's a bit rocky, but this Covenant Mission Helper also seems to help with it. So both these add-ons in conjunction is probably a good setup to have if you want to really sort of try min-max the mission table. Now, I'm not totally comfortable talking about it in too much detail on this, but there are ways to update the original Venture Plan add-on to give you support for patch 9.1, but it's not through the original add-on author. Third-party people have come together, a bit of a community effort has gone into upgrading it. There's a separate new add-on that taps into the original Venture Plan. It's a bit of a hack, and if I'm honest, there's some slight issues because it's using one add-on and you have to kind of break it's dodgy. But if you do look into it, you can update Venture Plan to support 9.1 missions more so than what it comes out of the box. But I'll leave you to work out how to do that yourself. There are some people out there though, such as our good friend Zanzaful, who is doing some pretty ridiculous things regarding the mission table. He's started himself a challenge, so using his words, recently started a challenge for myself where I'm going to be setting up 50 characters at level 60 with fully set up mission tables at rank 3 through the Covenant Sanctum. Yes, this sounds crazy and yes, it will take a while. So far I'm up to 8 characters with companion levels, not fully maxed out yet, but certainly getting there. Wanted to properly see just how much I'm getting daily, so doing a 1-week test to see how much they can provide in the future. Made a little spreadsheet. We all love ourselves a good spreadsheet, so you guys can see the first 2 days of writing down the data. So far it's looking very promising. So there's a little spreadsheet of Zanzafal's tracking of everything. Feel free to do some of this yourself as well. The more data we can get on this, the better of an idea of just how lucrative this mission table can be. But Zanzafal also plans to do full guides on his YouTube channel, so go check that out. Drop him a sub, and we'll stay tuned for a little guide on that one. So, Korthite crystals, the next topic of conversation, how to make gold with your alts. Korthite crystals have been a reasonably good one for people that have got lots of alts in patch 9.1. Doing this, just even the basic things in Korthia on those alts can often net you a reasonable amount of Korthite crystals. Blizzard recently upped the quantity that you get from the Shaping Fate quest alone to, I think, 5. So even doing the bare minimum on your alts can usually turn a nice amount of these supposedly rare materials. You can run your alt army through the dailies in Korthia, pick up the Korthite crystals, and then sell them on the auction house. Also nets you a decent amount of anima to then feed back into the mission tables for those alts. So it's a bit of a win-win situation. Korthite crystals are crashing in price ridiculously though. Some realms out there, I've seen them as low as like 150 gold a piece. They're pretty ridiculously cheap now. Some places. The bigger realms are holding their prices slightly better, but I think that's probably because on the bigger realms, there's more people actually buying the end product, which is the rank 5 and 6 base legendaries. So, but get your alts out in Korthia, get some easy Korthite crystals, get them on the auction house, and you'll be a bit richer for doing so. Filling out professions is another good one. If you haven't done so already, having at least one of every profession leveled gives you a wide choice of markets to sell in, and this is perfect for those with a small number of alts. There's not a huge amount of daily cooldowns in Shadowlands, but things like the Shadestone for alchemy might be viable on some servers if you have additional alts that can do the rep grind easily enough. The Shadestone pattern for alchemists, you need honoured with the, what's it called? Chat, help me out here. The little faction in Revendreth, I can't remember its name at the moment, but you only need to be honoured with your alchemist to get the Shadestone pattern. The Avowed, that's the ones, thank you. So if you can get honoured with the Avowed, you can pick up the Shadestone recipe. If you choose Shaping Fate as your levelling path, you can go over there and you can start chipping away at that from sort of like low level 50s. I've heard people get level 51, level 52 with enough reputation on their alchemists to pick up the Shadestone to start doing their daily cooldown on it. It's quite a seasonal item, the Shadestone. You're going to find it peaks in demand when the raid is freshly out. Once people stop raiding, it does drop in value quite heavily. But get prepared, get up and running, ready for the next raid. There's always a new raid around the corner. Finally, there are Garrisons. This one surprises me. There are a lot of people that played in the days of Warlords of Draenor and still remember the Garrisons to be an absolute cash cow. All the more frequently, I should say, do I see people popping into the Discord, jumping into the WoW Economy subreddit saying, are Garrisons still a thing? Blizzard has pretty much squished most of the gold making in the Garrisons at this point, which I think is only fair, right? The content, let's be real here, the Garrisons are, I mean, they're probably not far off 10 years old at this point. Garrisons have a long ago thing now, but there are still some lucrative stuff in there. Somebody's, who'd be this? Our Commander Bond has pleaded to Warcraft to consider rolling back some of the changes to the Draenor Garrison that have happened over the past year. Reducing the effectiveness of the Barn Follower, the award from the Bloody Purse. Bloody Purse, for example, used to give you just like 50 raw gold. Simple. And then they nerfed it down to like 3 gold or something, which basically makes it worthless. The benefit of Gore Pedal's gloves or the XP awarded from mining, gardening serves no purpose. All that it did was force players with significant time investments in their setup to leave the place of certainty and security for portions of the game less so. Well, see, I both agree and disagree with this a little bit. I'm happy to see the Garrisons be squished, and I know why Blizzard squished the Garrisons. Is because if people are going to, basically from Blizzard's point of view, if you're going to want very simple raw gold, easy farming methods, they would rather you do that in Shadowlands. They'd rather you pick up a herbalist or a miner and go out and spend time in what are the current zones. Having everybody locked away in their garrison is realistically not great for the game. It is a bit of a kick in the teeth though to those that have spent a lot of time and a lot of effort leveling up their garrisons and getting everything set up on multiple characters. But times do change. This is the risk we take. This is also going to be the risk that we'll take if we spend a lot of time leveling up our mission table in Shadowlands. That it only takes Blizzard, to flick a switch to just kill the profitability of something, and then we have to move on to whatever is the next best and greatest option. With Garrisons being so old at this point, I don't feel too bad about them nerfing the Garrisons into the ground. It's very social. Yeah, the Garrisons, super social environment for sure. Pikestaff has said that Garrisons have been nerfed pretty hard overall since the start of Shadowlands. The Alchemist Stone Vendor Shuffle was also hit too. For reference, you used to be able to make Alchemist Stones and then for very, very cheap using a Scribe Hut, I think. Or maybe the Alchemist Hut, sorry, that would make more sense, wouldn't it? And then just literally give them to a vendor and that was it. But that's been squished. I think the vendor value of the Alchemist trinkets been dumpstered. These days I only bother with it for Hexweave bags. Still a very solid seller for some reason. We've speculated why Hexweave bags are a thing. I think it's simple. I think it's because they're epic. They're purple. People like their purples. They would rather have purple bags even if they have lesser inventory space just because they're epic. I don't know. It doesn't really make a huge sense, but Hexweave bags do still sell. Checking the mission table for the Medallion of the Legion, which if I remember right was the rep token, 1,000 rep for the factions. I might be wrong on that one. And of course the Cold Fist Gronling, which was the mount that you could get through the mission table. These things are super cheap on the auction house most places though, so don't expect to get rich off these even if you do find one. In collecting the free garrison resources to swap out whatever raw material is selling with the most consistency. It used to be true iron ore, but now the market seems to have dried up recently. I think true iron ore was a good one because I think it went into making goblin gliders. And of course with Shadowlands being we were grounded for a long time. And especially when we get into Korthia, there was a big spike in demand for goblin gliders. It tends to happen at the beginning of most expansions before we can fly. But true iron goes into gliders, which is, yes, money in the bank on the goblin gliders if you can get your true iron ore relatively cheap, or trade some of your other Warlords of Draenor resources for the true iron ore using the special vendor that turns up every few days. If you have an alchemist, you can look into the transmorphic tincture is selling. It requires crescent oil from crescent saberfish flesh and some frostweed, which you can get from the resource trainer and the garden. I was expecting the market to dry up with the free gender swap availability at the barber. Oh, it was an item that allows you to change your character's Okay, sure. Fair enough. It allows you to switch your gender, apparently. I was totally unaware that this was even a thing. But apparently, yeah, it's still a thing. You can still sell these through the garrison as well. And then a little bonus if you're Horde. The garrison is right next to Nok Karosh Mob, which you can kill for the Garn Night Howl mount, which you can then put on the auction house. Since it's a very easy mount to obtain, it doesn't go for more than a few hundred gold, but hey, it's a few hundred gold you didn't have before, and it adds up if you kill the mob regularly. That's why Garn Night Howl is always so cheap. That makes sense now. That makes sense. This is what happens when you play Alliance for a million years. You miss out on these little Horde wizardry tricks. But that's quite cool. That's quite cool. So there are still some things that you can use the Garrison for, but I would consider the Garrison to be a fallback option. Do it in your spare time, but maybe prioritize your time on something a little bit more lucrative, especially if you're short on time. You can never buy more time, so you want to spend it efficiently where you can. So last thing I think in this little section of alts is feeding other players alts. So also don't forget that many players are leveling their alts, and there's plenty of opportunities to sell those new characters gear either during their leveling process or when they hit certain checkpoints. Level 50 is a good one because you've got the item level 87 gear, which is made using the novice crafters marks. Technically, when you hit level 55, you unlock the item level 117 gear, but it's a lot more challenging to sell that as most people skip it. But then the second you hit level 60, Crafter's Mark 3 is the most attractive now, as it makes gear that is item level 200. You can literally ding 60, go straight to the auction house and buy an entire set of gear that will push your item level to 200, which is very, very helpful on alts. And many people will see the 10, 20, 30,000 gold investment in doing that. Gold well spent. So yes, if you have access to Crafter's Mark 3 on your professions, keep some of the gear on the auction house. Don't craft huge amounts of it. Craft enough to keep it on there. Maybe do a restock once or twice a week. Heck, if you're on a big server, you might even be able to focus on the Crafter's Mark 3 gear and still turn a lot of gold from it. But it's all designed for alts, right? This item level 200 gear was never designed for people's main characters. It was entirely designed so that those freshly dinged level 60s have access to some gear that's more appropriate to the content that's readily available. It's going to be interesting to see in patch 9.2 if they build upon this any further. We've already got Crafter's Mark 3 and Crafter's Mark of the Chained Isle, which you could almost consider Crafter's Mark 4. Let's see if they have any more in the future. An alternative legendary leveling system. With the price of Korthite crystals dropping faster than Cadcow on the dance floor. Oh, what a phrase. Love me that. I've put out a little update to my cheat sheet to calculate when it will be profitable to start crafting with the earlier ranks using the Vestige of Origins. Right, this is my opportunity to do a little bit of a sellout for those that didn't watch the video or maybe missed it. My cheat sheet has had I wouldn't necessarily say a complete overhaul, but it's definitely had a facelift. I've updated the cheat sheet very recently. Not only is it now got this dark mode theme to it, a lot of people complained that it was too bright, too garish. Everybody uses dark mode everything nowadays. So I grayed out the background. I've also put a little menu of the different sheets and what they do and why you should be using them. But the big things, for the purpose of this at least, is the updated legendary crafting sheets. So one for each armor proficiency. So there's cloth, there's leather, there's mail, there's plate, and then there's the jewellery. But I've updated all of this for patch 9.1 and to include the Vestige of Origins. What it will now do is it will now pop up this little info for you as and when the price is right. If you get your Korthite crystals cheap enough, which is entirely possible now, way more possible than it ever used to be, you can start to see that you should actually be crafting rank 1s with your Vestiges to make cheap rank 3s and cheap rank 4s. Rank 4s especially, the big one that we're interested in. Rank 4s are usually the ones that sell not only consistently, but also more often than not with a good profit on them as well. So if you can be crafting stuff and selling it profitably whilst leveling up your legendaries, or your legendary professions, should I say, it's a massive bonus and you should absolutely be doing it. So yeah, if you haven't already, get yourself the new updated version of the cheat sheet. It'll be well worth your time. If not, maybe on your current characters that you've maybe done this, but if you say, for example, venture to a new realm, re-roll on a new server to play with some new friends, or just purely to expand your operation, you're probably going to look at leveling up these professions again at some point. So feel free to use the sheet. For reference, the cheat sheet is always available in my Discord. It's pinned in the Discord. I can probably show you. Why not? Why would I not? So, for example, in the Discord, if you jump into the Mantheus Coffee Club Discord, on the left-hand side, you've got the free resources section. The cheat sheet is available here, and the most common, the most up-to-date version is always pinned here. And I try to keep people updated with what I've changed in the cheat sheet as well. So that's yours. Go use it. Have fun. There's my there's my little sellout out the way. So yes, if you're still looking to finish off leveling those legendaries, consider that there might be a slightly cheaper, not only cheaper, but also profitable way to do it now, which is very nice because, you know, legendaries were expensive. Next on our list, though, cracking the code of node spawns. Please hold. Cheeky lunch delivery there, can't complain, can we? Cracking the code of node spawns. Reckles, or commonly known as Want to Buy Gold, has made a little bit of a return to his gold making after a small hiatus. And he's been doing some interesting research on exactly how the nodes spawn in Shadowlands. It appears now, this little image sort of suggests that the nodes tend to be grouped together and clustered. They're not just completely dotted around and completely random. So you can actually force spawn certain nodes. So the green triangle, if you pick up, there should always be one of the options available. So you can see there's 3 little triangles, a green one, a red one, and a blue one. If you fly around this area, there should, in theory at least, always be one spawn of each of these coloured triangles, which is kind of cool for when it comes to planning your routes and how you optimise your farming. It's often way more efficient to fly in a smaller circle if you can get something to force spawn than it is to fly all the way around a big old map. So this is not very obvious in game, and it's often very difficult to sort of diagnose, so it takes people a lot of time and effort to work these things out. So make sure you go over to Want to Buy Gold's channel. If you're not already subscribed, you absolutely should be. Give him a sub, or maybe hit him up on Twitter and say thank you, because this is some interesting work here. It'll be nice to see him put a video together of explaining all of this, but it's, for me at least, for somebody that doesn't do a lot of farming, it's intriguing to see just how Blizzard are still iterating on how they populate the world. Back in the day, maybe it was always this way and we just didn't realise it, but back in the day it always just felt like there was a, you know, they would vomit a bunch of nodes onto the map and that was kind of it. But there's obviously a lot of logic and a lot of planning that is going into where the nodes are positioned, how many there should be, how they respawn. So it's kind of cool to see it being broken down and for us to start to like truly understand it. So yeah, kind of cool to see. But that was the Wowhead Weekly Economy for this week. If you want to do a little bit of further reading, you can head over to the WoW Economy subreddit. Very quiet over there recently, probably due to, you know, the drop in player base recently. The WoW Economy subreddit is very, very quiet recently, but if you do have questions and you're on Reddit, it's a good place to go and investigate. And of course, there is the Discord server as well for WoW Economy. You can go over and check them out. There's a good place to get any support for TSM and stuff like that as well. You can catch Samadan streaming live on his Twitch channel, or of course you can go say hi to him over on Twitch. So once again, thank you Samadan for the report. It was a good one this week. There was plenty of stuff to be talking about. Alts is going to be a hot topic of conversation as patch 9.1.5 is bringing a lot more alt friendliness to the game. And if it's more friendly for the mass player base, there's often some very good gold making opportunities there. But I'll leave it there for today's video, boys and girls. If you enjoy this kind of video, remember to give the video a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace. And there's the YouTube video. Thank you, boys and girls. Thank you for sticking about. Where can we find the cheat sheet? Thank you, Eliath, for giving a link to the Discord. Appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Normal voice again. It's difficult to do this on a Monday because I've gone 2 days of not really talking. And then I come back and I just talk for hours on end. But yes, normal voice again. Normal voice again. With a special delivery of some homemade guacamole and a big old bowl of, dare I say it, Doritos. So let's hopefully I don't die. It's hard to imagine you not talking. I'm pretty good at talking when I need to talk and when I've got something to talk about. But the blessing of living in Finland is it's also perfectly normal to not say anything. In fact, it's recommended. Like, do as little talking as possible. But sure. Garrison Defender here. Medallion of the Legion sells for the price of 12 Quarthite crystals. To be fair, right now it probably does, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right there. Just like in Sweden. Yeah. Speak if you have to. But, you know, feel free to shut the f up. What were the comments like this week? Do I dare explore the comments? You can get venture plan SOD missions on WoW. See, okay, this was the thing I was alluding to earlier. You can update your venture plan with the addition of this extra add-on, but the only way this extra add-on works is if you also go into the original venture plan and edit the source code for it. There's I wouldn't go as far as to say there's like legal issues with this, but it's safe to say I don't think the original creator of Venture Plan is best pleased about this, but you know, it's one of those. It's there and available if you want the updated version. I've even started to see people do YouTube videos on exactly how to hack the original one and where to download the new one from, so I guess people's moral compass doesn't really point in the same direction all the time, but visited the website of Venture Plan last night. It stated that it will be officially updated in the future. Well, the dude only took a break from the game, and I'm sure he'll probably come back to the game. Yeah, there's definite copyright issues, like by whatever they've done, but even without the new one, you have to edit Venture Plan when you get 21 companions. Yeah, if you go above 20 companions, it also, you know, has a small heart attack. Mission table, perhaps as good as the Garrison back in the day, dare I say. Are you kidding, right? As somebody who made 15 million plus gold from the Garrison with 25 toons with level 3 Garrisons, I can say without a doubt this is far from the truth. I see, if you went to the extent of having 25 Garrisons with 25 max level 3 Garrisons back in the day, I'm not surprised you made 15 million. But I shit you not, if you do 25 toons with the mission table maxed out, firstly, you are going to be drowning in anima. Secondly, you're going to be gaining so many resources with 25 toons. It's ludicrous. You will be making some... I think as Zanzaful did a bit of a number crunch on this one. I'm still of the opinion that you can make about 100k a month off a single character once the mission table's maxed. Now, if you're doing that on 25 characters every single month, and you do that for, even if you only do it for 6 months, you 15 million easy game. I mean, even still, it's still ludicrously valuable. Now the difference is though that in Warlords of Draenor it was raw gold. That was the big problem, right? The fact that you can it was just literally printing gold. There was no here's some materials, now go sell those materials. And there was no here's pet charms that you then need to turn into pets and then you need to sell the pets. There was no middleman. It was just here's a bunch of gold, which is why people did it. There's a little bit more to it now, but I would imagine if you do it at scale, it's still just as profitable, if not more so, to be honest. Current numbers suggest you can get upwards of 150 to 200k per character per month. Just 80k from raw gold. Yeah, there we go. There we go. That says it all, doesn't it, really? If you can pay for your token with a single character, okay, not with EU current token prices, let's be fair, but one or two characters, let's say you've got 3 characters, if your token is paid for just by doing a mission table, it's just silly. Pretty sure those YouTubers could get in trouble if the author wanted to. Probably not best to make one. It's the entire reason I haven't made a video on how to do it, because it's a bit of a dodgy. Anything where there's actually potential for legal implications, like I ain't risking it for the sake of a video. I mean, if I was PewDiePie and had 100 million subs, I might think about it, but it might be worth the risk with the amount of ad revenue I'd make off the video, but not making $10 off a video. No way. Setup takes longer and is more effort required to Warlords of Draenor. I'm not even entirely sure if it actually takes that much more effort. Because I remember back in the day, Warlords of Draenor, you had to... I suppose the garrison resources were the limiting factor, and that was just a time thing. You really didn't actually have to play the characters, I suppose. Because you did just get garrison resources for free. I seem to remember though, there was unlocking the plans. There was definitely some work in it, for sure. Probably not as much as it is now, but with 9.1 being considerably more alt-friendly, if you can skip the Covenant campaign, that's a big chunk of time. Because the campaign unlocks a mountain of the early companions. The further forward we go, the easier it will be to just zerg Torghast. So you'll get most of the companions pretty quickly and easily. There's the anima side of things, but there's also rumours that anima is going to be transferable between characters coming soon. Maybe, possibly TM. Which in turn would mean that you can just funnel the anima, any anima that you get. So if you get a couple of mission tables properly set up, they will be anima positive, and the return of anima that you get from those, just transfer it to the other characters to get them up and running, and it just, you know, snowballs. You had to get some achievements to get rank 3 buildings in the garrison. Yeah, there was definitely some stuff you had to do. There was definitely some stuff, but the issue is, right, people rarely, very rarely, consider any time or effort they have to put in to unlock something as actually that valuable. Mr. Loves to Build here, for example, to get 25 characters fully leveled up with their level 3 gatherers back in Warlords of Draenor, firstly required him to have 25 alts in the first place, which back in Warlords of Draenor was not as simple as it sounds. People can have ridiculous amounts of alts now because A, they're super quick to level, and B, if you really want to, you just buy the damn things. Back in Warlords of Draenor, that wasn't a thing. You had to level up your characters to, what was it, level 90 at the time? The first 60 levels could still back then take you a good 24 hours of gameplay. Leveling was nowhere near as quick as it is now. So this dude doesn't really take into consideration, whilst there's not as much, there wasn't as much end game setup for Garrisons. There was a lot more pre-end game setup, because just getting the characters was the problem. Gather a trait from the inn. That's true. You were only guaranteed one gatherer a week, weren't you? Yeah. Because you could request a champion or whatever they were called back then. I want a champion with gatherer to give me more resources, please. Yeah. And then, of course, the discussion goes on to the Legion mission table, which was equally as broken, let's not lie. During the expansion to which they were relevant, they've all kind of always been a bit broken. The only one that wasn't super broken was BFA, but that's because the mission table in BFA was just like so dead, like beyond level dead. There was very, very little use from the mission table in BFA. Which is why I'm so surprised. I was so surprised to see it make such a comeback in Shadowlands. Broken's a big over-exaggeration in my opinion. I don't know. Okay, this turns out to just be, you know, a dick-swinging contest of which expansion was the best for Raw Gold. Okay, cool. Leveled 36 characters to level 60 the first month of the expansion. 1 character per specialization. So far, I'm making about 50k gold just using my phone during my free time at work. I mean, if you've got 36 level 60 characters, you're doing something wrong if you're only making 50k gold. But then again, if you there's one telltale thing here. This dude has a job. by the nature of this, that this dude's at a massive disadvantage because he's one of those working class. He's one of those, you know, those people with a job. Ooh, now disadvantage there. You are not min-maxing your gold making if you have a job, my friend. Outrageous behaviour. Plus doing it on his phone. Shocking. Dude needs to check his life situation out. This is atrocious. I'm not going to check the YouTube video. My issue with the companion app is that it loads everything too slowly, even when I'm using the latest smartphone. The excessive scrolling through, yeah, blah blah. Okay. As I thought it would end up being, you know, which expansion was the best for Raw Gold? My army of 58 rogues in Classic are the best for root. Yeah, I imagine they are. And I imagine they're all running a single dungeon as well. My best goal-making days were when I didn't work on a Wednesday, so could cancel scan from the morning. Oh yeah, without doubt, without doubt. Alright, cool. Well, that was a good overview of what's been going on from... This is going to actually be really helpful when we look to the changes as well. Because a lot of this will become even more valuable as and when 9.1.5 lands and we have a bunch of new stuff. Well, not new stuff, but changes to the game. This, I want to point out, is actually bonkers, by the way. Has anybody seen this? 286,000 gold for the token. We're going to hit 300k pretty quickly at this rate. I bought 19 yesterday, it's all my fault. Or we'll blame you for high token prices then, Zan. I don't understand the WOD or Legion had better gold from the mission tables, so I won't do it in Shadowlands. Yeah, there's no actual correlation there. It's just people, yeah. Just because you could do something previously, it makes no difference because you can't do it now. So it doesn't matter. I had a blue car once, which is why I'm not buying a green car. It just doesn't make sense. That guy with 25 characters making 15 million, if it's true, I'm glad he did mission tables, because if he went to the auction house with that time spent, he'd have 50 million plus. Yeah, and that. But red one goes faster. But right, okay. Where's the I don't want Wowhead's opinion on a bunch of shit. I want the official blue posts. Where's it gone? Hang on. Legion no, hang on. Relax. We've probably got to go back a stage. Shadowlands developer update. This is the one I wanted to look at. Blizzard released a new post with information on patch 9.1.5. The PTR is going to start next week, this week, and much of the content within is a direct result of the feedback provided by players through the expansion. Ironically, of which almost all of it was explained in great detail by many people during the Shadowlands beta. But sure. Some of the more important highlights to the blue post. Once your renown is high enough, what do we think is going to be considered high enough? You'll be able to freely swap covenants without cooldown or restrictions. Holy smoke, they've pulled the ripcord. You'll even be able to use rewards you've earned from your past covenant. This feature is account wide. Oh! Now it wouldn't surprise me if it's 80, because it arguably means that you need to have done everything. It's another Pathfinder thing, isn't it? Once you've done everything once, then you know you can play around and you can zoom, but a lot of people are considering it to be 80. I think I'm almost certain it'll be 80. Because if we're getting the PTR this week, it will realistically be 4 to 8 weeks before the patch goes live. So it's basically September now, right? It's going to be the earliest, the end of September. More than likely, some point during October to when we'll get 9.1.5. And by that point, if you've been keeping up with your renown, you're going to be very close to renown 80. So I imagine it'll be, cap out season 2 renown, and then you can swap your covenants about. It makes sense, right? Blizzard is saying roll over and tickle my tummy to make people happy and address all the complaints with these changes. Oh yeah, I mean I'm not going into this completely blind. I have had a little scout about. I do know some of the things that are changing. But it very much feels like, yes, Blizzard are doing absolutely everything the player base wanted, because they're about to tell us something big that if they just told us something big, would be devastating. I think patch 9.2 is going to be the last patch of Shadowlands. They're going to drop that on us. They're also going to tell us that it's going to take a hell of a long time to come out. And probably something else. And so they're getting all of the easy brownie points nice and quickly. Buttering us up, yeah, that's a good way to say it. who cares as long as they do it? There's an element of that true. The next one being conduit energy being removed. While it's not a big thing for me, I fully understand why it's a big thing to a lot of people. And I also saw absolutely no reason for it to be a thing in the first place. But like I said, it's not something that dramatically affects me. So it's a bit more difficult to talk about the conduit energy thing. But I know those that play just one or two characters, yet want to dip their toe in different aspects of the game, but also feel competitive at the same time. This was just borderline unnecessary, but sure. It's good to see that they're getting rid of that. This is going to be a big one for us goal makers. If you've previously completed that Covenant campaign on an alt, any future alt will no longer require to complete the campaign, being automatically allowed to get the renown and the third soulbind from the campaign. This is going to be a big one. I'm looking at you, Zanzifor, leveling all of your characters. This could be a big one. Being able to skip the Covenant campaign. I also hope, are we going to get a more skip? Please tell me we're going to get a more skip. By this point in time, we really should get a more skip. We are? It's a thing? Okay, good. That's what we like. So this was the original post. Let's go through what the original post is. Let's not take it from Wowhead's perspective. Let's actually read, straight from the horse's mouth. Were you under a rock? No, I was technically on a rock in the middle of the sea. In the next few days, we'll be updating the public test realm with a first look of patch 9.1.5, alongside feature updates like new time walking experiences. This time we're revisiting Legion with a couple of twists. Okay, sure. What are the twists? Falling in with these 0.5 patches falling in between form content tiers, present an opportunity to focus on the balance and revision of core systems that we should have done in the beta. Oh no, they didn't. No, based on feedback and data from the season so far. Patch 9.1.5 will include several significant changes to the Shadowlands Covenant system. Okay. Oh, this was just copy-pasted here, right? Yeah. Once you've reached a high renown threshold, you will thereafter be able to freely switch between any of the 4 covenants without cooldown or restriction, as well as use your cosmetics and blah blah blah. Both the covenant switching and the use of cosmetic rewards will also apply to alts once the renown threshold is reached on one character. Okay, so yeah, it's basically just Pathfinder again, isn't it? Let's not muck about. Conduit energy gone, cool. We've talked about that a little bit. Covenant campaign, cool. Okay. While we hope many players will be pleased at the increased accessibility and freedom for experimentation these changes will permit, we know that you might be wondering why we didn't make adjustments like these sooner. Because you're arrogant in your game development. Okay. After all, a large portion of the community has been vocal about wanting to see changes along these lines since the mid-2000s when Shadowlands was still in beta. Yes! Yes! Go on then, try and lie to me some more, Blizzard. Let's go. When it comes to the limitations on Covenant switching, millions of players experience Shadowlands for the first time through the lens of their Covenant of choice. And that would have not been possible had the choice carried less weight from the outset. Nevertheless, after the conclusion of the Chains of Domination campaign, the Covenants are united against the Jailer, and revisiting player feedback in that context has led us to reevaluate our approach. This sounds like a big paragraph of waffle. In terms of the day-to-day player experience, the advantages of a rigid division between covenants has diminished since Shadowlands launched. What, do we also know what is diminished since Shadowlands' launch? There's one big thing that I can think of that is heavily diminished since Shadowlands' launch. And it's not the division between the covenants. While the downsides, feeling disadvantaged in certain types of content or having to choose between mechanical advantages and aesthetics, have only grown. That balance of factors no longer justifies the original limitations on covenant switching. So in 9.1.5 we're looking to provide a way to circumvent them. See, this is their way to write these things is incredible. When they use words like circumvent them, they're making the assumption that we don't think that they put the problem there in the first place. The way to circumvent these problems is to not make them to begin with. This is Blizzard trying to make themselves look like the good guy. You're not the good guy. People told you this, and you even said it. You even say it here. You admit it to begin with. Genuinely, they admit it back here that, yep, you said all of these things probably weren't good for the game back in the beta, but we did them anyway. Oh my days. Sure. That's a lot of text for we kept this for when people start quitting, and that time is now. Yeah, to read between the lines. We done fucked up. Nobody wants to play our game anymore because of these restrictions that everybody said were bad for the game, but we ignored anyway. Now we're going to, turn back time and we're going to implement all of these to hopefully bring some of you back because our business is dying. Oh my days. Time to save up 500k anima for me to get everything. Well, this is why I went into Shadowlands with the desire of having 4 alts. Because whilst I knew this would probably happen eventually, I didn't know at what point. So I have 4 characters, my main 4 characters, I have 1 in each covenant. So that I can do all of the things in all of the covenants and not have to worry about, swapping and changing and doing all of that sort of stuff. But obviously now, it will basically be that you can, in theory, play the game with 1 character, if you want to. And once you're, quote-unquote, done with 1 covenant, you can jump to the other, and it's all gravy. If nothing else, you can jump to 1 covenant to get all of the rewards from that, to then switch back to your main covenant when it's raid time. Please don't all go play Final Fantasy. We're listening now. Yeah. Conduit energy, however, is a different story. How is this story going to be any different? The system simply has not played out the way we hoped it would. How did they expect it to go? How? Okay, let's read on. We should have heeded community feedback and taken a different direction a year ago. The majority of the players largely ignore the system and are unaffected by it, whilst the minority who want to engage in multiple content types competitively feel constrained by it. Overall, that adds up to a negative experience. Conduit energy isn't really making the game better in any appreciable way, so we're removing the system entirely. This here, this paragraph, or this sentence here, that section there is almost word for word exactly what Preach said in his video. Almost word for word. To those who it doesn't affect them. But to those who it does affect, it was a dick system. Just get rid of it. It's not needed. Oh, this post... I knew reading this would trigger me. I don't like to complain about these things. I don't like to rant and rave. But, oh my days. Like, they are literally throwing everything that they have to get as many easy brownie points as possible. It's absolutely great, but please learn from the mistake for once. Yep. Yep. The majority doesn't gain anything from it, but the smaller percentage is getting fucked over. Just remove it. Yeah, just like if something is only designed towards a small minority of the player base in the first place, then why make something so outrageously restrictive? It's just dumb. They made it so players don't feel they have to change soul binds for each boss. People change talents between boss. And those who feel the need to change their talents between bosses, do it. And those that don't feel the need to do it, and in turn those who it doesn't affect, don't do it. If people want to min-max to that degree, sure, go ahead. Why put a Dumbo system in place? And then you can obviously argue that, well, okay, you have a consumable that allows you to change your talents wherever you are. Then if that's the solution, do the same thing for your Covenant. Give scribes the ability to make something, add it into the professions, make the profession better because of it. Like, it's just not a valid argument. That's the argument that Blizzard gave. Nobody was saying that they would feel burdened by having to change their soul binds. The only people that said that were Blizzard. And they said that as a reason for why they implemented this in the first place. They did this exact same thing with reforging of Azerite traits in BFA, with the ever-increasing gold amount to reforge your Azerite traits. To the people that it affected, it fucked them over, and to everybody that didn't reforge their Azerite traits because they weren't willing to do that extra 1%, they just ignored it, and eventually they took it out. Or they certainly dialed back the effectiveness of it. At least they allowed you to trade Azerite gear and stuff like that in the end as well. You got to be you got to be super careful when arguing for or against these systems that you don't use the words that were spouted to you. Let your opinions be your opinion. Now, whilst, sure, maybe you might feel burdened by having to switch your soul binds between each pull. In that case, maybe you're in the wrong guild. Maybe your guild is too competitive for you and you need a slightly more chill guild. Or maybe there is a slight problem with the system. But be super careful using the excuses that Blizzard said themselves as a reason to implement a bad system in the game. Netherlight Crucible, yeah, they do it. They've been. This is the problem, right? They have done it historically. They've done the same thing every expansion. Like what was said earlier, if they learn, it doesn't. This is all great. This is gravy. But unless Blizzard learn from this, which historically they've proven to not learn from this because they do it again and again and again, means that when they have their epiphanies, when they realize that, oh no, maybe this isn't a good system, you can't believe them. And that brings back to my beginning statement of the reason a lot of this happens is because the game devs are very arrogant. They considered their opinions on how to make the game far more valuable than the tens of millions of people that were actually playing the game. And that level of arrogance has caused multiple issues at this point. But anyway, this is the thing, right? I'm more than happy to say that these are really good things for the game. They're incredibly good changes for the general health of the game. What I'm not willing to do is give Blizzard a pat on the back for doing them. This is just Blizzard, you know, clinging on to the rubber ring to keep their head above water. I'm certainly not going to, you know, say well done Blizzard, thank you Blizzard for doing this, because it shouldn't have been this way in the first place. And the reason it shouldn't have been this way is because there was an awful lot of people that told them that this shouldn't be this way. And those people are the most dedicated people who play this game consistently. If you don't listen to your most dedicated fan base or your most dedicated audience or your most dedicated customers, they're not right 100% of the time, but 90% they probably are. If you choose to ignore everything your fan base tells you, you get into a shit show. It's madness. Sorry I'm late. Okay, start from the top. Well, Joby, welcome in, first and foremost, but you might have to check the VOD on this one. You might have to check the VOD on this one. I think the problem is the devs think they work in the same Blizzard that was 10 years ago, but they don't. There's possibly a bit of that. I mean, arrogance usually creeps into people. Sometimes there are some people that are fully legitimately... Okay, you can be arrogant because you're the best at what you do, but you can only maintain. You have to be considered the best at what you do before you can kind of give like a free pass to arrogance. If you're not the best at what you do and you're still arrogant about what you do, that's a problem. As for the Covenant campaign skip for alts, the ability to freely swap Covenant on alts, that changes one outgrowth of many ongoing discussions within the development team, focused on feedback that at times players feel the WoW content they mostly enjoy is locked behind experiences that aren't nearly as appealing to them. Some of that feedback revolves around different playstyles and content types, but a constant theme is that the experiences that were fun the first time start to lose their luster on repeat playthroughs on alts, especially when required for power progression. So just as the Threads of Fate system exists to allow players to skip the level up zone narrative on subsequent playthroughs, we want to give max level players a similar option to avoid having to replay the Covenant campaign they've already done. We want to give. No, this is something the community has been calling out for a hell of a long time. You can't claim that you came up with this idea, Blizzard. We want to give max level players. No, we the player base wanted this for the longest of time. Stop trying to claim credit and try to make yourself look like the good guy. It's so annoying. It's so annoying. But either way, same again. Covenant campaign skip, massive bonus. Massive bonus, right? Being able to ding 60. To ding 60 and know, especially the way that patch 9.1 has worked, to ding level 60 and know that you can't get further than the 3rd chapter of the current contents campaign without doing a good 8 hours worth of campaign from a past expansion that is now you've done it 4 or 5 times already, is bonkers. Mike Ybarra plays and has complained about a few things. He streams on Twitch now as well, doesn't he? He's a very high-end Mythic Plus, though, if I understand it right. He's doing plus 20 keys on the regular, I believe. AoE cap for one of them. Yeah, there we go. Get somebody in charge that actually plays the game. If you don't play the game, then it makes sense that you make these ludicrous decisions. But if you actually play the game from time to time, then you'll spot these things, for sure. But what I should summarise from this is all of these are good changes. I'm really, really happy to see all of these changes. What frustrates me is that Blizzard at no point in this, apart from very subtly in some cases, I mean, they started off with a bit of a disclaimer that, yeah, sure, we should have made these adjustments sooner. A large portion of the community has been vocal about wanting to see changes along these lines since 18 months ago, when Shadowlands was still in beta. I mean, they threw that in there just to soften the blow of that. They then put 3 paragraphs claiming that they came up with these great, fantastic ideas, and now should be rewarded with a pat on the back for implementing them. It's just annoying. As 9.1 PTR progresses, we hope to roll out several other changes aimed at giving you more flexibility in choosing how you prefer to adventure in Azeroth. This was the thing, right, for me. The thing that attracted me to World of Warcraft 15 years ago was the fact that you could take a character and you could go in whichever direction you wanted. The original zones in World of Warcraft, there was 4 or 5 different perfectly viable leveling paths. There was choice. It felt like a world that you lived in. It felt like you had a character and you could go in this way if you wanted to do it this way. You could go in this way if you wanted to do it that way. And it felt like an RPG, you know? You're role playing as a character, and your journey will probably end up at the same place. But everybody ending up at the same place is just indicative of good game design overall. But it allowed people to go in whichever direction they wanted to ultimately get back to the same spot. Which fundamentally should be their mindset for every single expansion that they produce. But aimed at giving you more flexibility in choosing how you prefer to adventure in Azeroth is indirectly stating that for the first couple of months of an expansion, you're going to be on our train tracks. We're going to take you on one path in one direction. You're going to play the game exactly how we want you to play the game until we decide that you've played for long enough so that you can then venture off. I think it's really is an approach that they need to adjust for sure. There's a dev tweet with a couple more changes hinted at things like legendary recycling. Yeah, legendary recycling was one that I've seen kicking about as well. What's this one then? This is a second blue post to the WoW community. Over the past few weeks since we shared an update, the WoW team has been focused on the immediate future, both for our people and workplace. What's next for players too? As part of that, the entire team came together to ask, what are the biggest things we're hearing are getting in the way of your fun? And what are the most impactful changes we could make to WoW today to fix that? Are they joking? Is this a meme? Is this a meme? What, now you want feedback? What about the last 18 months of feedback since the Shadowlands beta came out? What's happened to all of that feedback? Shadowlands update 9.1.5 will be going on the PTR next week, and a lot of you find that it is the direct result of your collective feedback. This includes long asked for changes to make it easier to swap covenants and conduits, updates to make it so that you don't need to repeat covenant campaigns on alts, and new character customizations for some of the races that were lacking them, and many more, blah blah blah. Also has updates to improve the game's environment for our community, additional changes to some content to better reflect our shared values, better visibility into the impact of the in-game reports of harassment, and more serious penalties for people engaging in disruptive behaviour. It'll be interesting to see what that actually results in being, because it's all good and well saying that. It'd be nice to see something more concrete on what that's going to, i.e. removing /spit, maybe. We hope to see something from your own 9.1.5 wish list when we post the patch notes next week. We'll keep listening, refining, and building on that as we continue PTR testing and development of what's next. Cool. Alright. I'm not going to read the comments on this because it will be an absolute shit show. Okay. Well, that's caught me up at least on the three, what appears to be the three big ones. Now, boys and girls, educate me. What are some of the smaller things that we've seen, but I'm probably not aware of yet? Let's go back to the front page. Comments of the content. I'm sure they are, but I don't want to give myself a headache. Dratanos and Tails discuss the 9.1.5 content preview, covenant swapping, conduit injuries, and alt friendliness. They've probably just done exactly what I've done and just go over the blue post. Blizzard renaming characters and cities to remove reference to former WoW developers. Oh, McCree in Argus, yeah, of course. They're going to rename that whole zone. Interesting. Blizzard considering the ability to transfer anima to alt and remove the anima cap. This we need to look at. These are both things we're looking at closely. More info soon. Many of our upcoming changes are a direct response to feedback from folks who want to play alts but are put off by the prospect of having to redo certain content or systems. Okay, that's typical. That's typical Ian sort of being as vague as he possibly can while still saying something. But it is definitely true to say if you're somewhat active in 9.1 content, you are probably swimming through anima on a regular basis. The fact that we had an anima trader where you could turn, 25,000 anima into like 5 Korthite crystals. How much of a joke is that now? Just want to put that out there. 5 Korthite crystals now for 25,000 anima. That's one of the worst uses of anima I can possibly think of, but sure. Because 25,000 anima is enough anima for you to get rank 2 on every building in your Covenant. Or, instead of doing that, maybe on an alt, you can have 5 Korthite crystals. It's just so stupid. Oh dear. See, that made me giggle when Korthite crystals were 1,000 gold a piece, I thought that was dumb. Now they're 200 gold a piece, it's even more dumb. $10 heavy callous hide for 7,500 anima. See, that's actually considerably better because heavy callous hide. that is so bad. 10 heavy callous hide is worth considerably more than 5 Korthite crystals, and it's a fraction of the anima cost. Don't you guys have anima to spare? Do you guys not have phones? Okay, well that's cool. All the same. Being able to switch anima about is a big thing, I think. It will mean that you can get those covenants up and running really quite quickly. Because if you can trade 10,000 anima from your main that's not really got much use for it, or you've leveled up your covenant sanctum to a point where you're happy with it and you can start filtering it to alts. Really good. Really, really good. It would have been super nice to have seen this in the game from the beginning, to be honest, but more than happy to see some way to transfer anima from one character to another. I know it's only, Blizzard considering it now, but the fact that their ears are open to this is good. It's progress. Definitely progress. What else have we got here then? Legendary raid tuning. Is this going to be? Are we going to be? Oh, hang on. This is a picture we need to look at. Developer update. Right. What's this then? I saw this the other day, but I didn't pay too much attention to it. Legion time walking in Mythic Plus. So Mythic Plus, you could. How's that going to work with time walking? So if it's time walking week for Legion, you can also choose to do Mythic Plus in Legion dungeons with presumably Shadowlands affixes and settings? Or is it just going to be a copy paste of what it once was in Legion? Okay, that could be quite cool. I mean, it makes sense, right? They developed Mythic Plus during the Legion dungeons, so that's quite an interesting one. I could work with that. Improved Covenant swapping. We've obviously talked about that a lot today already. Conduit energy removal. Cool. It was Dombo system in the first place. It depends what the item. Yeah, it depends how they're going to do. Because of course, if you're doing Mythic Plus with Legion dungeons, there's got to be some scalable loot from there, right? Legion Mythic Plus was nice. It was new, no AoE cap, and not yet ruined by trying to make it into an esport. This is where I wonder how it's going to work though, because obviously now we do have things like an AoE cap. The game and the mechanics that we have access to, it's all good and well our gear being, you know, fiddled with, adjusted. But yeah, like some dungeons, for example, like literally AoEing the crap out of everything was very simply part and parcel of doing Mythic Plus then. I mean, I don't think it's time. Let's be fair, it's time walking, so the gearing should probably cap out just under what, you know, like normal mode raid gear will be. But I don't know how they'd do it with or maybe this is just the rumor mill going, but maybe it's just the exact same Mythic Plus system that we have for Shadowlands now, but just, you know, switching up the dungeons. Just, you know, for this week, you can do the exact same gearing. You can still do your plus 15 keys. You can still get your box at the end, your Great Vault at the end of the week for doing however many of them. It just means that this week you can do Legion dungeons instead of Shadowlands dungeons. That could be cool. I don't know how the ins and outs of that works in terms of, you know, how the dungeons were designed and whether all the affixes are going to work the same, but that's a dev problem. But it sounds cool. Now, a big one that a few people have pointed out a few times. Legendary item recycling. Now, I wonder if they're deliberately vague about this. Because legendary item recycling, is that going to... What do we think? Do we think that's going to refer to the base legendary items? Are we going to get a scrapper? Scrapper 2.0, anybody? It makes remarkably more sense for it to be the end result, the crafted legendaries. I want it to be base. I'm sure lots of us here, I'm sure we're slightly biased. I'm sure we'd all quite like it to be the base legendaries. As it would provide whatever in terms of a refund than what it would just giving them away on the auction house right now. But it's got to be for the Soul Ash and Soul Cinders, hasn't it? It kind of has to be, because that in theory should be the bottleneck, right? The bottleneck is not the base items. The bottleneck is no longer Korthite crystals. The bottleneck is the 4 weeks Torghast grind for your Soul Cinders. I don't think that this legendary item recycling will have any effect on crafters whatsoever. It would be cool if we could take all of those hundreds of rank 1s and rank 2s that are lying around in most of our guild vaults and throw them into a scrapper and get some materials out the back end of it. But I really don't think it will. I really don't think it will mean that. I think it's going to be for the actual end result crafted, and it will be a way to recuperate some of your soul ash and soul cinders. Today I put like 20 190 rings in the auction house that I had on my guild bank. Somebody bought them all up. Guess somebody stockpiling base items. If they're cheap, I mean, those 5 gold, 10 gold base items that you see on the auction house right now, it's almost, they're so cheap that you're basically not risking anything by buying them up. Buy them all up, leave them in the mailbox, or send them to an alt. If you buy them all up, send them to an alt. You got 60 days before they get deleted. Because in 30 days they get sent back to you, and then in another 30 days they get deleted. By that point, we should have had whatever this is. If you're buying base items for 5, 10 gold a piece, let's be honest here, add it all up, what are you actually losing? Like literally nothing. But let's say they give 50% of the arboreal shard cost back. Let's just say if you put a base item, it doesn't give you the materials. It like the scrapper. Let's say it works like the scrapper. If it gives a percentage of the materials that was used in making it back to you, arboreal shards alone will make it worth buying those 5 to 10 gold base items. And if it doesn't happen, then you've lost 5 to 10 gold, however many times you bought a base item. This is one of those opportunistic investments that if it's a win, it's a big win. If you don't win, if you lose, it's only a small loss. So absolutely go do it. Absolutely go do it. Don't wait until we know the answer. You got to do this before we know the answer. So let me reiterate, it's a massive risk buying all of the cheap base legendaries off the auction house now. Whatever you spend now, you have to consider that gold put in the bin. Because if nothing happens with these, you've just got a mailbox full of useless items that you bought really cheap. But if something does happen, if we do get a legendary scrapper and you can put base items in there, even if we only get a fraction of the arboreal shard value back for each one, you will still massively win. So it's almost a no-brainer. Risk however much you are willing to risk, and no more. If you buy 10 of them for 5 gold and you get yourself a reset by doing it, post 1 at 100 gold, and if 1 sells, you're actually already in the money. Yeah. Yeah, right now there is virtually no risk in buying those cheap base items out. No risk whatsoever. Clean your auction houses of cheap legendaries for the good of everybody. I've just realised I've spent the last hour of the stream just casually eating Doritos and dip. What a scrub. I haven't died though. Have you noticed that? I've not died on Doritos this time. Maybe the meme is broken. Myth busted. Manthius is not allergic to Doritos. Granted, that is from somebody who tried resetting belts and still has 75 of them 8 months later. Hey, it's less than the 83 you started with or something. So it can't all be that bad. You've probably turned a profit. But yes, legendary item recycling, almost regardless to what this ends up being, is good for goal makers. There's almost no possible outcome that this can be bad for. That this can possibly be bad for goal makers. The only... No, there's actually not. There is no way that this can possibly be a negative for goal makers in any way, shape or form. This is just a win from every angle. Hang on, where was it? Would you really want a base recycle? You have already... chat, stop scrolling. You already have spent the gold. That would just make it easier for new competitors to arrive. Nah, There's literally no negative to this, not a single one. Let's hypothetically say that somebody can break a rank 6, they can recycle a rank 6, and what are they going to potentially get when they break that rank 6? Would it give them back their rank 6 base item? If it gives you the base item back, that's the only one possibility to where it could be somewhat of a negative for legendary crafters. If you break down that if it's a 100% return, you get your base item back for you to use again, then that's a problem. But I think 9 times out of 10, the reason why somebody would probably recycle their item is to get the Soul Ash and Soul Cinders, because they are the true bottleneck to legendaries. We know it takes best part of 4 weeks doing everything you physically can, including being good enough to max out Torghast, to be able to make a new rank 6. If you can take your existing rank 6, recycle it, get 50% of the Soul Cinders back by doing it, that means you've only got 2 weeks of effort to get your new legendary rather than 4. Sounds good. Sounds good. Doesn't matter what the return is, it makes it easier to level up the ranks. If it's a 50% return, it costs you 50% less to rank up now, considering the 1s to 3s are worthless anyway, and it'd be better to recycle them than to try and sell them. Yes, that's basically the thing, right? Even if, like I said, even if you don't get the base materials back, even if you only get, you know, a number of arboreal shards back maybe, that's still, if you get half your arboreal shards back, what that actually means is your arboreal shards now only cost you 50 gold each rather than 100. With the mindset of that you're going to recycle them to get your materials back rather than sell them. It's going to be a heavy... This could potentially be a heavy nerf. You could argue a buff to the barrier to entry of leveling up your professions, but more than likely this will be designed to alleviate that 4-week requirement for crafting a new rank 6, is my guess. But we'll see. New allied race customizations is cool for those who it's a benefit to. If you're super into your customization, if you're a transmog collector, this is arguably only a good thing. It can only be a good thing, especially since it's another one that Blizzard categorically said that they had no focus on for the rest of Shadowlands. Obviously, it's an easy win. We've seen some of the updates already come through. This is cool. More customization. You know, always good, right? Always good. Old Covenant campaign skip, we've talked about that a reasonable amount already. Legacy raid tuning, I would imagine this is them just fixing the fact that you can't do Legion mythic raids are still considerably difficult to solo, I believe. It's not something I do much of, but those people who are out there, you know, farming their transmog and whatever, it needs to be adjusted. I think it's all because of something went horribly wrong with the level squish that happened in Shadowlands. The level squish made it so that the Legion raids, you could do them on basic difficulties, but as they scale up, the difficulty of the dungeon scales up way past what you do. So running mythic difficulty Legion raids is something that you should arguably be able to solo at this point. That was always the way that it was meant to be. So it's going to be hopefully good that we can finally run those if you're into your transmog, or even just farming mounts and pets. Even things like the what is it? What's that mount? The blacksmith mount. The blacksmith mount requires you to do a mythic Legion raid, I believe. I might be wrong. Either way, allowing people to run the old raids with less difficulty is a good thing. Legion mythic raids are still hard for some classes. Example, mages who can't self-heal. Yeah, a steel-bound harness, that's the one. That's the one. And you can get the pattern on any difficulty. Oh, fair enough. Well, adding another difficulty to the mix can only be a good thing, surely. You used to be able to solo it, but then the Shadowlands pre-patch happened. You see, that's probably more annoying, where you were able to do it, but, you know, yeah. So it was definitely something to do. The level squish goofed it, and now they're ungoofing it, which is cool. But if somebody recycles Lego, it's 99% guarantee it's because they want it on another slot. So goblins don't care if you get your base item back. Ooh. I don't know. Yeah, I think Stro makes a good point that if they get the base item back and they get the legs back and they need to buy her shoulders, then you've just got random Joe that's trying to sell a random legendary. And it's those random Joes that tend to resort to super deep undercuts because it'll sell quicker. Yeah, I don't think... It makes very little sense to me that they'll get the base item back. Yeah, you might get your Soul Ash and your Soul Dust back. And if it happens to be a thing for base items, then you'll get a percentage of your materials back, I would guess. One thing to note with this is something that's very... would be key when it comes to... well, keep an eye on this simply because if it can be used on base items, what it will also do is dramatically reduce the value of the materials. If you get 50% of your materials back, all of a sudden your materials are worth half as much. This might come into play big time when we start thinking about, you know, what materials are going to be valued and do we start stockpiling anything. If a base item scrapper is a thing, you get, let's say you get 50% of your materials back if you recycle it. What that actually means is your materials are worth half as much when it comes to crafting, because you need 50% less materials than you did before. So your heavy callous hide that might still be 200 gold a piece, 300 gold a piece, is now all of a sudden only really worth 100 gold, 150 gold each. So this is one I will obviously keep a laser focus on this, more so than I have been recently. But this is something to remember. New toys, mounts, and travel forms. Super vague. Could be. I mean, we'd expect new toys and mounts anyway. New travel forms just keeps the druids happy. Cool. Talent and ability buffs. Generic as all hell. And reporting improvements. Very vague once again. We'll have to see how that actually pans out to be, you know, a bit of anything. Like, I mean, that could be anything, right? Could literally be anything, but... Well, that was quite cool. They added a few more things to the list there. I would really be keen to get some better information on this legendary recycling, but I guess we'll have to wait. I guess we'll have to wait for that. How's the NA adventure going? Doing alright. The NA adventure's doing alright. We've we checked out the NA a little bit earlier. We relisted our stuff. We're starting to do a little bit of rather than spending so much time farming, we're starting to reinvest a bunch of our gold into flipping some items. But we'll get to that a little bit more soon. I'm trying to catch up on all of the news over the weekend at the moment still. Random tip, Snail Fight is up today. It's pet week. If you want 25s, it's the fastest fight out there. NA had Super Squirt Day the other day as well, didn't it? That came and went faster than I realised. Just grabbed myself 20 item level 210s for 5 gold each. Well, there we go. Like best case, worst case scenario, you've just lost 100 gold. Best case scenario, you break them all down and end up with 10,000 gold worth of materials. It's almost impossible to lose in scenarios like that. If you have bandages, the snail fight is even faster. Well, there we go. I would be willing to trust Wu on this one. He's a bit of a pet genius. Raid tuning coming in patch 9.1.5. Is this just Blizzard's take on what... Oh, it was, okay. It's just Blizzard's take on this. We're going to have 20 different Wowhead articles, all based on this, okay. What would you like to see? We've listed a couple down below. So, Mythic Gul'dan. Difficult to solo due to the stun. Players need really high DPS or need to have a plan to be able to kill the parasites that are fixated on them. Mythic Fallen Avatar in the Tomb of Sargeras is hard to solo due to the inability to block all the beams.
You just lost $5.
Hey!
Nice Devil. Just hi.
How we doing, Nice Devil? Thank you. Appreciate the resub. 2-month streak. Thank you. Mythic Inara, whatever. Very difficult to solo due to the high movement speed that requires to kill all of the ads and complete the thing in time. Oh, this is interesting. So it's not just a case of the fact that we don't. You can't just one-shot these bosses anymore. You actually have to still do some mechanics on the bosses, which just are not indicative of being able to do solo to begin with. So maybe there is more to the rebalancing of because what you used to find is when any raid went into like legacy mode, if there was any mechanic that required 2 or more players to do it and for it to be completed, they would just change that mechanic so that it could be soloed. It appears there's a bunch of that hasn't happened with the old dungeons, which could be why. That makes sense though. So it's more than just, it's more than just the level squish busted some numbers. It's more of a case of that there are actually some mechanics that need a bit more of an overlook to get them working properly. Turn in anima from Korthia remotely in patch 9.1.5. Players will be able to deposit anima from Korthia without
You
returning
just
to their
lost
covenant.
$5.
Momentum NZ.
Momentum with the Prime. Thank you. I do appreciate it. Our hype train is close, apparently. My chat is telling me. I do appreciate the subs, boys and girls. Thank you. Another great quality of life change announced in Blizzard's 9.1.5 content update preview. How have I not seen this? Is this... Did I miss this one? Preview of new customization options for Void Elf, Nightborn, Lightforged, Draenei. Oh, well, no wonder I missed something about anima. Oh, hang on, there's more... With the arrival of 9.1.5 PTR, we wanted to share more information on the variety of new features and updates arriving with the content update. Not all of these features and updates will be available immediately within the PTR, but we are looking forward
You
to
just
hearing your
lost
thoughts.
$5.
Hey!
21. Choo choo.
Choo indeed. Elias, thank you. 6 months. Oh, we've hit half a year already. Have I been on Twitch that long? Holy smoke. I obviously have. Thank you. Anybody that wants themselves some of the hype train emotes, now's the time to jump on board. Choo choo train is in action. Covenant updates then. Players who reach max renown will be able to freely switch. We've seen this listed a few times. Oh, cosmetic rewards, including pets and mounts that have been earned from the Covenant, will thereafter be available regardless of your affiliation with a different one. So the pets and mounts can be used, that's cool. Covenant switching and the use of cosmetic rewards will also apply to any alternate character once the threshold has been reached. It's 6 months. Can somebody slow down time, please? Yeah, it's I didn't realise we'd even been on Twitch that long, but we obviously have. Posture check. You're right. I'm slouching like a... Yeah, I last week was... I had a bad neck all last week, so I need to fix my posture. They still keep hinting at this renown threshold, but at no point have they really hinted what it's going to be. You would... Yeah, it's going to be 80 though, isn't it? Let's not muck about. It's going to be 80. Conduit energy being removed, and you can swap them about. Cool. Completing a Covenant campaign will allow alternate characters the ability to skip the same Covenant campaign, earning the renown and a third Soulbind unlock immediately without needing to replay the full narrative arc. I'm intrigued to see if this is going to go any further than that. Is it going to award you everything that was on the renown path up until that point? I'm namely thinking the followers that you obtain through the campaign. Will you also then instantly get those? That could be a big thing. Told you, 200 renown, believe me. No, I hope not. Like 80, sure. I'm happy with 80. If they say it's going to be 120 and you're going to have to complete 9.2, then you know the easy win that they obtained by doing this will just be counteracted by a typical Blizzard. But I think they're going to want to keep the buts to a minimum. But we'll see. Do we have any idea what will happen to our companions and mission table after we swap covenants? Well, apparently right now the way that it works is if you move from one covenant to another, you have to level everything up again. But what people have also said is if you go back to the original covenant, everything still is how it was.
$1 million.
Hey! Mad Hatter. Go on, my man, with the 1,000 bits. I appreciate that a lot, my man. Thank you. That's also done business for the hype train, boys and girls. Once again, appreciate the support. Thank you, my man. You keep the neutral followers that and at that level, even in the new covenant. Oh, well, that's doubly cool then. Better get a portable AC unit soon. Well, I have the advantage of that it's getting close to that time of the year where I just open a window and it's better than a portable AC unit because a blizzard will roll in and freeze the side of my face. So, but I appreciate it. Thank you. So with the ability now maybe to just switch just like at your leisure, it doesn't matter so much. Because you could, I mean, this is probably not suggested. It depends how the mechanic of switching is a thing. But I mean, you could do your mission table on Night Fae, and just swap when you're not doing the mission table. Because Night Fae, without question, is the easier and probably the most profitable mission table. So maybe you'll go Night Fae to do your mission table. And then once you've done your mission table and you're going to go do some PvP or something, you might switch to something that gives you a good PvP ability. Choice! Guess what? Can you believe it? Out of nowhere, bit of choice. Who would have thought that having choice in what you do in this game would be would be such a thing? Min-maxing mission table shit? Kill me now already. I don't know. We'll see. Wouldn't be surprised if they do some mission table balancing. The thing is that from a fundamental point, the mission table is a bit busted because the reason Night Fae are so good is because their troops are healers. And if you get a single character that's overpowered for the level of the mission, you put a single troop healer. Like who would say no to a pocket healer? You know, when the win criteria is whether you survive or whether you die, taking a pocket healer means you win more frequently. And it's very baseline. If it fails, put 2 healers and repeat said process until you've added 4 healers. Yeah, that's the problem. Either you just, change the Night Fae troop completely and just prevent it from being a healer, but I don't know. You don't want Blizzard on your face with the current lawsuit. That's true. Let's take a little look at these new character customizations then. We've got some funky tattoo thing going on here. A variety of new character customizations are being introduced to Nightborn and Lightforged Draenei, along with additional updates to ear size options for Void Elves, new travel forms for Druids, and new soul shapes for Night Fae. Okay, cool. Alright, excellent. What am I comparing here? Apart from 3 semi-naked Draenei's? Are we doing ear types here? What would it be on the back? I don't know. Cool. Customization, cool. Some funky horns and stuff on the go. Yeah, cool, excellent, great. It's like a game of Spot the Difference. Like, what am I trying to compare in these pictures? Well, the hooves are all the same. They've got the same knees. They've got the same hands. What am I looking at here? What's different? I don't know. Whatever. Checking out the Draenei butts. Ooh, those Draenei butts. What's the difference here? No idea. Oh, hype train. What did we get? Got myself a dog. Choo choo.
$1 million.
Oh my day. Now I feel both good and bad. I really wonder if you meant that to go into the hype train. Either way, I cannot complain. Little Uve with 1,000 bits. Shout out to you, my man. Thank you, thank you. Mad respect. Unfortunately, you missed the hype train by about 3 seconds there. I'm not sure if that was the plan or not, but Mad Hatter, you get to keep your conductor by the looks of things. It's the colouring of the metal tattoos. Oh, I see. Okay. But choo-choo, everybody. Thank you, thank you. Some mad support today. Thank you, everybody. We'll get these semi-naked ladies and gentlemen off our screen. Oh, so these are the whoa! You can go to town with the. You know what they say about night elves with big ears, don't you? They can hold a lot of hair behind them. Yeah. You can go super long. All the longs. He is a long boy. An actual long boy. They need big earmuffs. Yeah, exactly, yeah. So some hair colour options, I guess. It is literally like a game of Spot the Difference. Cool. Hairstyles. Excellent. Oh, look at all the good stuff. This is all good stuff we missed. Introducing Legion Time Walking. Delve back into Legion dungeons with Legion Time Walking and take on challenges within, including access to Legion Mythic Plus dungeons. This event will run for 2 weeks the first time it runs within the game and will then resume a regular 1 week schedule for subsequent bonus events. Okay, so we're going to get a 2 week long Legion Time Walking event due to this Mythic Plus thing. Very intrigued to hear a little bit more about how that works. Especially the gearing side of things. Because obviously Mythic Plus is meant to be a gear scale. Whether it counts for, whether it counts for your weekly completions for the Great Vault, whether there be a dungeon finder-esque thing for it, or whether it'll all be, manual grouping still. There's lots of questions about that one. Could be interesting. Not going to lie, it'd be awesome if they would add time walking more frequently. Isn't time walking every other week? I think it's mainly the fact, it's because they have to go through so many expansions. Like, for it to be Burning Crusade time walking, for example, for Burning Crusade time walking to come round again, it takes ages because they are cycling through so many different options now. But I don't know how that, because if it was time walking week and they did time walking week like once a month or every other week, the problem is you'd filter everybody through everything. The reason that time walking still is sort of a thing is because, right, this week it's these small select dungeons and you do those small select dungeons and we're focusing on this expansion. I don't know how they could change it to be a bit faster, but I do agree that it seems to take a bit too long for the rotation to come round again now. I'll have to watch some vids about Legion dungeons. Well, yeah, can you imagine? Legion...
You just lost $5.
Oh!
Cassia 4.
Cassia, thank you for the tier 1. Appreciate it. Thank you. Welcome in. Hope you're having fun. Can you imagine Legion dungeon videos on YouTube will start popping off all of a sudden? Could be quite funny. This one, though. Oh, my days. How happy are we to see this? More intro will officially be skippable. How many times have I done this now? A lot. Let's put it that way. Not even remotely as many times as some people have, but oh my days, I'll be happy to see the back of this one. Players who have completed the introduction to the more on one character will be able to speak to High Lord Darian Mograine in the capital city to skip it on their alternate characters on their account. Thank God. Oh my days. This is big. For me especially, this was one of the big annoyances for me when it came to leveling new characters on new realms. I've got 2 level 60s sat on Draenor that have dinged 60, and I've not done anything else with them. Literally not done anything else with them. But ironically, it took me... Now, I know I got those 60s in a slightly questionable fashion in terms of when it was last time walking. You would get like 1.5 levels per time walking dungeon. So I bought the characters. I bought the level 50s, I should say. It took me almost as long to do the more intro as it took me to get from 51 to 60. I would happily be able to buy a boost on a character on a new realm and go straight into Threads of Fate and start just chipping away at herbing, mining, something like that. It's like 35 minutes though. I know, but it's 35 minutes on every character. And it's highly frustrating. 1 and a bit levels on with war mode on though. That's true. You can't argue the fact that the actual leveling side of things is big. It is really good experience for the time spent, but a lot of it you're standing there, you're waiting for Jaina to shout her mouth, and there's just some RPs going on that you've seen 20 times, and you're just waiting, and I'm glad to see the back of it. Glad to see the back of it for sure. Island expeditions, solo queue or with a party. Now, I was on Dirty Irby's stream the other day. I'm not sure when he plans to turn it into a video for his YouTube channel. But in case you missed it, I was on his trade chat mini podcast thing he does. We had a good discussion about island expeditions. We talked in a bit of detail about how there's a lot of the transmog that comes from those that is still relatively valuable. Because transmog that looks cool will usually sell. And not only will it usually sell, it will also usually sell for a good amount. And Island Expeditions was ripe for really cool looking transmogs. Now, what this does mean is if you have any kicking about in your bags, it's time to get shot of them relatively quickly. Now, I wouldn't go into purge mode, because one thing I did point out is that we will see a spike in supply of these transmogs and pets when this kicks in, but very quickly it will get forgotten about as well. The only thing that could come into question is just how good are island expeditions run solo going to be for leveling. That's one thing that worries me, because if it's very good for leveling, or if it's even remotely competitive for leveling, it will get used and abused as the go-to method for leveling characters. And if that happens, then the transmog will tank. Regardless of how good it looks, it will just be, the market will be flooded with it. So we got to be slightly careful with what's going on with this. But the TLDR is that it's kind of cool, because it means any missing appearances, if you are a collector of appearances, you'll be able to get a little bit easier, a little bit cheaper, but also pets and mounts and things that you get with the, what were they called, the doubloons. You'll be able to buy those boxes off the vendor with your doubloons, get more chances. You could, in theory, when it goes solo queue, just continuously farm island expeditions until you get everything that you want, which is kind of cool. Players who want to take on island expeditions are now able to queue for them solo or with a party to enter normal, heroic or mythic difficulties. There are a bounty of awards just waiting to be plundered. Yes. By the way, can you go with a level 10 twink in there? I don't know. See, this is going to be the thing. When you get the ability to do it solo, because the way that it stands right now, I believe, is if you're leveling a character and you don't talk to Chromie and you do it the default way, island expeditions become a thing that you can do relatively early on, but obviously you still have to be doing it as a party. But if you get the ability to do it solo, there's many opportunities for players to do what players do and, you know, min-max stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if the thing is, as a level 10 twink, going level 10, the problem you tend to have is that you don't actually have most of your abilities yet. You'll probably find that there'll be a happy medium somewhere in the middle. Level 40 or something, I expect to possibly be a good one. Because by the time you're level 40, you actually have most of your abilities, but you are still seriously, like, you know, low. And if you can min-max some gear, you can probably do some silly things. Level 10 monk with stopped experience. I do hear that level 10 monks are a bit OP. But I'm sure there'll be opportunities. I'm sure there will. Talent and ability improvements then. 9.1.5, we're working on additional updates to a variety of class talents, including conduits, rune carving, covenant, blah blah blah. Default stuff that you'd expect anyway. It's a balancing patch. It's not a content patch. It's a balancing patch. So that's what you'd expect. Allied race unlocks. Allied races such as the Coltiran, the Mechanomes, the Dark Iron Dwarves, which had dungeon requirements to unlock them, will no longer need to complete the associated quest to gain access to these races. Players will be able to skip it instead. Hang on, that's ambiguous. Does that mean that players will be able to skip just the dungeon requirements? Or the associated quest to gain access? Okay, so you just won't have to do the dungeon anymore. Cool. Alright. That's now that I've started playing Horde more frequently, I need to go and unlock some of the other allied races still. And more importantly, now that we're over on the NA, this realm, we have nothing. I'm actually in the process of leveling through Voldun just so that I can unlock the Volpera. Additional travel points in the Moor. Players will be able to take advantage of additional fast travel options from Venari's Refuge to Perdition Hold and Desmatiran within the Moor by unlocking access to them. What's going to be this bit? What are we going to have to do to unlock them? Because this, once again, is an alt thing, right? This is all about trying to be alt friendly. And if we can unlock some stuff, it should be all good. Remote anima turn-ins. Completing quests from the Archivist Rosur will provide access to an anima diverter within Korthia where anima can be deposited. Hoorah! This is good. This is good. I mean, to be fair though, to spend the anima, if you're looking to upgrade your covenant anyway, just depositing the anima doesn't. I suppose it frees up bag space. I mean, I'm of the opinion now that anima sitting in your bags is mad. Didn't we learn this lesson with goddamn Legion artifact? Was it artifact power? Didn't we learn our lesson with artifact power back then? That if it's just a currency and you can't do anything with that currency until you've handed it into a vendor, just don't give it to us as an item. Treat it like reputation. We just get it automatically. But sure, alright, this is another in the middle way of doing something. The sensible thing to do would just to not give us those tokens in the first place. When you get one, treat it like a reputation, it just is added to the pile. But sure. Transmogrification linking? What in the world is this? Show off your complete transmog outfit to chat or online by easily sharing a link to it from the dressing room. Players will be able to mouse over these items to see how they can be collected, if they've already collected the appearance, or if it's an appearance that is accessible to the character viewing it. Oh, that's quite clever. That's quite clever. That's going to make... this is good. And I see. I reckon Asmongold has had this all along. I reckon that's how he. You know, 500 IQs his transmog competitions. I bet he's had access to this all along. When he's doing this, he's not thinking. He's reading off another monitor. He's reading off another monitor where it tells him where everything's from. It makes sense now. Stop giving Animo and archive thingies. Just add those to your currency directly. Yeah, it should be. It's dangerous to travel to the current raid. Yeah, I've heard a few people say that actually getting to the Sanctum of Domination is a pain in the ass, which makes sense. Even going and killing the world boss on your ults is just annoying because there's a lot of characters that just get completely splatted just running to where the world boss is. Yeah, I get it. Alt leveling improvements then. A variety of improvements will be introduced in support of a smoother experience leveling alternate characters through the Shadowlands, such as an additional rank of more heirlooms? No. An additional rank of heirloom upgrades? No. This is what? Okay. I've said for the longest of time that heirlooms in Shadowlands is Blizzard's softly approach to removing heirlooms. Because for the most part, heirlooms are just useless, and the only benefit of heirlooms realistically is they scale with you. Meaning that you've at least got somewhat reasonably level appropriate gear while you're leveling. Outside of that, they do basically nothing. Now that they've had the XP requirement taken away from them, they're kind of pointless. Yeah, you can argue that you gain rested experience for longer, but it's, it's kind of, they don't really do a lot. I was of the opinion that they were just going to get rid of them. But it apparently means that they're probably going to allow you to, weirdly, spend yet more gold upgrading them to allow them to go all the way to 60. Alright, I can't say I'm totally surprised, but yeah, big rip to item level 87 gear. True. Big rip to 8. There's no reason in any way, shape or form people will hit level 50 and then choose to buy a set of 87 gear. If by the time that they ding 51, those heirlooms are keeping up with where they should be. Yeah, that's true. That's a big rip on item level 87 gear. 87 down the drain. Current advantage of heirlooms is that you can enchant them from a level 1 and transmog them if you want. Yeah, I mean, there's a few plus points to them, but I was of the opinion that they couldn't just straight up take heirlooms out of the game in one go, because people have collected these heirlooms for years. Not only have they collected them for years, every expansion we've spent a sizable amount of gold to upgrade them. And for Blizzard to just take them out of the game would have just annoyed people. So I went by the theory that they rebalanced them and they made them less important, so that next expansion, when they take them out of the game completely, it's not as big of a loss because people weren't really using them anyway. But apparently, no, they're here to stay, and not only are they here to stay, we get the luxury of spending more gold on upgrading them. Sure. And improvements to Threads of Fate, such as the addition of Torghast as an option, and renown gains for completing bonus objectives. Torghast leveling. Ooh. I mean, it's about time, but ooh. Torghast leveling. Now, if you can be doing your Torghast... how are they going to do this then? Are you going to be... Are you going to be eligible for Soul Ash whilst leveling? Or will it be you have to be level 60 before you start generating Soul Ash? There's lots of questions around this one. Lots of questions around that one. The renown gains for completing bonus objectives. I mean, it blows my mind that you can't... Because you could, through Threads of Fate, you could ding 60 and have 4 renown, because you gain 1 renown for completing each of the big old fill the bar quests, right? The fill the bar quests in each of the 4 zones during Threads of Fate reward you a renown. But I guess it's an extra catch-up thingy, which is cool. But didn't they... isn't there also... Hang on. Isn't there a Covenant campaign skip? So, gaining renown for completing bonus objectives doesn't really matter if by the time you ding level 60 you skip the campaign and get 40 renown anyway. So, this is probably a little bit too late then. Am I right? If you skip the campaign when you hit level 6, what benefit would there be of being between... Yeah, that's like, yeah, here you go, you can have it now. But now you've got it, it's irrelevant. So, sure. But this is cool. Torghast leveling, I like that. I like that. Watch people start selling Torghast leveling. That's true. Yeah, Torghast level boosts. Boosting community will love that. They will love that. I wonder if Torghast will drop gear then. Doesn't matter if you're in heirlooms. Doesn't need to if you're wearing heirlooms, really. It is for sure looking to be a lot more alt friendly. When you skip the campaign, you still need the renown. I might be wrong, but I'm quite sure one of the things was part of the campaign skip. See, I need to clarify this. This is why I need to keep track of this, because these are questions that I'll get asked all the time. Where did it go? I'm quite sure one of the things that they stated was if you have previously completed that campaign on an alt, any future alt will no longer be required to complete the campaign, being automatically allowed to get the renown and the 3rd soulbind from the campaign. This indicates to me that you'll get given the renown when you take the skip. But it maybe will only give you an... Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it does... It's not going to give you... It's not going to push you to 40, but it might give you... Because the campaign would reward you 1 renown for each chapter, right? So that's like 8 renown that you get by doing the campaign. So maybe you just get the 8, but you obviously still are going to want to, yeah, okay, fair. You're still going to want to get, you're still going to want to get some renown gains for the bonus objectives. So maybe through leveling, Threads of Fate leveling, you can probably do, what was that, like 2, 3 bonus objectives in each zone. So zoom round, do the bonus objectives in 4 zones. Get your renown from those, then level the rest of the way with your heirlooms on in Torghast. Ding 60, skip the campaign, get another 8 renown. That probably puts you on renown 20. A lap of, yeah, okay. Each zone gives 1 renown currently. Only if you complete the Fill the Bar quest though. And the Fill the Bar quest actually requires you to do quite a lot. Whereas if there's 2 or 3 bonus objectives in each zone, and they each give renown, you can probably ding 60 on, let's say, 12 renown. Then the campaign skip will give you another 8, meaning you're probably a fresh level 60 with 20 renown. And then you've got to obviously grind to 40 to before you can continue on, or 44 until you can continue on with the 9.1 campaign. But you'll be doing your dailies, you'll be doing the assaults, you'll be theoretically playing the game. So I guess it will amount to about 20 renown for free, or easy to obtain. Put it that way. Sounds cool. Sounds cool. I like that. It works. PvP gear power adjustments. Lower item level PvP gear will now scale to a higher item level in PvP situations than it did before. This should reduce the power gap so that new characters can feel that they're able to compete in battlegrounds and arenas more readily. This change will not affect the high item level PvP gear. Makes sense. Makes sense. PvP is there should always be a gearing element to PvP, but I always feel that PvP, I mean, I don't agree with gear being totally normalized, because that's the carrot on the stick to, you know, play the PvP modes more frequently and get better at it. But yeah, that sounds cool. Rune carving recipes. Drop rates for the rune carving recipes will be increased to 100% drop rate in any dungeon difficulty. That's, for starters, that's cool. But isn't there can't you buy these now? Don't you buy them with, what do you buy them with? Where is it? Don't forget vaccine shot, my friend. Yeah, I know. I've yes, thank you. Where is it you buy the rune carving recipes now? You can buy the item that gives you a random legendary that you don't have. Is that in Korthia? Surely you do that in Korthia, right? It's going to be an archivist thing, right? Surely 2,000 archive thingies in Korthia. There we go. There we go. So it's just another way that you can either just go get it from the dungeon. Choice. I love me some choice. Either go do the dungeon and get it on 100% drop rate, or buy it from the archivists if you happen to have the points. Cool. Love me some choice. It's random. You get a random one. Oh yeah, I suppose. I suppose you go get... Yeah, then it probably means you just go do the ones that come from a dungeon to guarantee them from the dungeon. And then you get the other ones from random ones. Yeah, sure. All good, all good. Blizzard they really have, I like to give them any credit whatsoever. Not that on their past recent history they deserve much credit, but they have cashed in on every free win that they can possibly get their hands on, it feels, at the moment. Literally everything that they could have possibly done to appease the recent negative feedback, I think they've tried to do. I can't think of many things that are constant annoyances to the average player that they haven't tried to address in this patch. Which, thank God. I mean, let's hope it's not a little bit too much too late, but it's very good to see that these things are actually being implemented now. Keep an eye on the official World of Warcraft site for the complete 9.1.5 content update notes and more over the span of development. Well. What that means, though, is we'll get a PTR this week. And with that PTR, we'll start to be able to investigate a little bit more and see what is what. So, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm not going to give them a pat on the back because a lot of this they should have done in the first place. They shouldn't have given us the shit system to try and get a pat on the back by taking out the shit system. But for the good of the game, it's good to see. For alts, for getting your professions up on other alts, it's going to be much easier to do. Getting your mission tables set up, it's going to be much easier to do. From our perspective, from the goblinry sort of gold making perspective, there's lots of positive changes here. It's going to make it much, well, 6 of one, half a dozen of another. If it's made easier for us to do it, it's also made easier for others. it's often the way, but the legendary one sounds interesting. We'll keep our eyes on that. Sounds good. You still looking at 9.1.5 stuff? I had time to... Well, I did... yes, it's virtually the entire stream today has been taken up by me playing catch-up from all of the news that came out over the weekend. So I apologise if it wasn't the most engaging stream for you today from a gameplay perspective, but I'm hoping we all learned some stuff, and we now have some good stuff to look forward to anyway. But boys and girls, like I did say at the beginning of the stream, started a bit earlier because I need to finish a bit earlier today. I've got jab number 2, a COVID jab later on in about an hour's time. So I need to go get that done. What it does mean though is I keep your eyes on the Discord, because if I'm feeling iffy, I might take a day or two off. You know, with something like the jabs, it's better to be safe. So enjoy being stabbed. I will do my best. I will do my best. I will get, if you missed the Wowhead Weekly Economy, I'll get that up on the YouTube channel for you guys relatively quickly if I can. I might do it when I get back from being stabbed. I got stabbed and they stole my blood. Real sus. Real sus. Ask for a lollipop. I think I'm a bit too old to get free lollipops out of it, but sure. Anyway, boys and girls, if everything goes smoothly, I'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy goal making. Remember to go sub on the YouTube channel. Give all of the videos a like. Leave comments on anything that you feel appropriate. Boost my content in the algorithm. Show YouTube that you love it. Show Twitch that you love it. The support actually today has been incredible. We've had a bunch of subs come in, bunch of bits. Been really, really good day today. Thank you all once again, but we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy. Have a good one. Peace.